Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. I am Robert Henslee. This is Eric Winston to my left. We've expanded the set today to include all of our guests, and I'll start out by introducing them. Of course, you know Eric and me from doing the show every week. Our special guests this week include Christian comic Bob Smiley. No relation to John Smiley from the Pirates, right?
Nope.
Okay.
No, not or Guy Smiley from the Muppets. I get that a lot, and yeah. Thanks for having me back, by the way.
Yeah,
this is,
we
great.
had Bob as one of our practice runs in our preseason, if you will, and we liked him so much we invited him back, and we're glad you can be a part of it tonight.
Yeah, I never get invited back anywhere. Not that I like that family reunion, but it's nice to have an invitation.
On my near right, we have from PLEX, it is Danny Arnold, one of the guys who has worked with some NFL Pro Bowlers, Heisman Trophy winners. Tell us a little bit about what you've got going at PLEX.
Well, we do sports performance and sports medicine for many of the NFL guys. Obviously, we have some notable ones like Peppers and Casey Hampton and Sean Rogers.
I like how you just throw it around. Rogers,
And
Peppers.
the reason I'm throwing some of those players, I'm curious to see what Eric's, how his experience has been with them and stuff like that. So I definitely want to get into it tonight with that.
What do you get into that? Do you ever work with offensive linemen, or is it all defensive linemen?
Oh, we got some. We got Dwayne Brown from the Texans that we work with. So
Okay.
yeah, we do actually have a lot of offensive linemen.
All right, I was thinking you were just training guys to go up against
No.
Eric. I trust you're no relation to
Danny
Tom
DeVito?
Arnold.
Okay, no, I just
Tom Arnold, no.
no.
Okay.
Now, is it true you don't work on offensive linemen mostly because they're just so phenomenally fit and great, right?
I mean, they're there. You don't need to do anything more.
The picture of health.
Yeah.
All right, going on to my far left, we have two members of the Black Matches, our first musical group to join us here on our Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. We're going to have a performance from them coming up at halftime. We've got Bobby Duncan and Andy Bertelson. Guys, thanks for coming in and joining us.
Thanks for having us, man. This is fun.
Black Matches, you can check them out. We'll get more information on where you can check out their music. And again, we're going to have some video clips along the way. We're going to have them performing at halftime as well. Bobby Duncan, I'm guessing no relation to Tim Duncan, right? You're a little bit
Actually,
shorter.
we're second cousins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. So
But
he
I'm a
got
Mavs
the
fan, so
tall
it's-
jeans.
Yeah.
Are you from the islands too?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I like that. Andy Bertelson, I trust you're no relation to Jim Bertelson, who used to play for the Rams, right?
Yes, I guess so.
Oh, what?
Does that count? Does that count as a? All right, I get $1 every time I mention Jim
Just your
Bertelson.
dad played in the NFL, right? Now, how'd you get into singing and playing music?
I wasn't that good at football.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't try to sing ever.
It's a
Good thing you're good at
it's a very good thing.
Well, we want to get into the game a little bit. Redskins and Cowboys. We're going to find out more about our guests as the show rolls on. Redskins and Cowboys tonight. A Redskins team that comes into Dallas as an underdog, but the Cowboys are beat up. Tony Romo is going to play tonight despite fracturing his ribs a couple weeks ago. Des Bryant's going to be back. They've got a lot of injuries, but they're all playing. I mean, all their hurt guys are playing.
This is your classic NFC East matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun. You got the Dallas Cowboys, like you said, they're beat up. Des Bryant's questionable with a bad hamstring. He's been kind of hobbled, or a thigh I think
bruise,
it was,
yeah.
Something, a leg injury, and when you have a leg injury for a receiver, that's never good. And then the biggest question mark's Tony Romo's ribs. How are they going to hold up? You got to expect the Redskins to bring a lot of pressure. You got to expect them to try to go for some hits. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a couple late hits early in this game just to test him, just to see where he's at. But you also have to remember that the Dallas Cowboys don't have a typical backup quarterback. They have John Kitna. Kitna has amassed many yards in this league, has started many games in this league. So if they have to go to Kitna, that's not necessarily going to be a devastating blow for him, although it's obviously not what you want. On defense, Rob Ryan, the younger twin brother.
And the
Rob
bigger
Ryan
one.
has brought a more aggressive style of defense to them. They're blitzing a lot more. You see a lot of safeties coming up to the line, blitzing gaps, coming in between the center and the guard gap. You'll see guys coming from everywhere. And then on the other side of the ball, the Washington Redskins, a little bit of a surprise this season. I don't think it's that much of a surprise because I saw what they were building. We played them last year. But I think the biggest surprise has been Rex Grossman. The steady hand of Rex Grossman has been a huge benefit for him this year. Rex has always been a guy that, even when he was here or one of the other, there's the closest, he's going to throw the ball to the closest receiver to the end zone. So whoever gets the deepest, he was going to that guy. And that's kind of how he's always been. But this year he's been much more controlled. Kyle Shanahan's done a great job with him. He's checking the ball down more. He's making sure that he's hitting the right receiver. If he has to just take the 5-yard dump, he's taking it. And of course, I think one of the biggest acquisitions for him has been Hightower. He's been a guy that has run the ball, has been consistent, has given them a dimension that they didn't have last year. And let's face it, they run pretty much the same offense we did. So if you can't run the ball, it puts a lot of pressure on the quarterback. But they've stayed balanced. They've got a good defense. Hazlitt has them playing really well. They've got Landry coming back tonight. This is going to be a great game. The Redskins win this. They're up 3-0 in the 3-0 record.
They're 2-0 for the first time in like 4 or 5 years.
And the NFC East, 3-0 overall they'll be, and it puts everybody in a bind because they'll have 2 games really up on the Giants, and then the Eagles and the Cowboys will be at 1 and 2. So this is a big game tonight for a lot of different reasons, and I think it's going to be an exciting matchup.
Great atmosphere in Dallas for this game. Let me ask you, because Tony Romo got skewered after blowing the Jets game in their first game of the season. Then he comes back after having a punctured lung in San Francisco, comes out of the locker room to lead the team to a victory in overtime. I'm still trying to figure out which of these Tony Romos is the real Tony Romo. I mean, is it the guy who you can't trust with the game on the line in the fourth quarter, or a guy who braves injury to lead his team to a win?
Well, Romo's going to push the ball down the field. One of the things I don't think people realize is how much he passes for. I mean, he's going to move the ball downfield. He's got Jason Witten, Des Bryant. He's got guys that he can get the ball downfield to now. And I think the key for them will be staying balanced, especially now that Romo's hurt. You have to stay balanced. You have to take some of the pressure off. If they get to a point where they're 3rd and long every time, you can bet that Hazlitt will be bringing blitzes, will be bringing pressure, will be making him try to get the ball off as quick as possible, and they will try to be getting hits on him. I mean, you're going to see that noticeably, and it's not an illegal thing. It's not a cheap thing. This is football. If an opponent has a weakness, you got to try to exploit it, and they're going to go right off the bat. I'd be shocked if they don't try to exploit it right off the bat. So this is something that's it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how this flows. And like I said, I think the biggest part of tonight's matchup will be if the Dallas Cowboys can run the ball. If they can run the ball, they can stay they can stay on schedule and short downs, then they'll be successful, and Tony probably won't get hit. If they don't stay on short downs, they're going to have a long day, because I think Romo's going to get bounced around and he's got a chance of hurting himself again.
What do you guys expect from this game, Cowboys or Skins? You guys, you're from the Dallas area,
I live
right?
a mile from the football stadium. I don't know. I like the boys, but their offensive line.
Are you a big fan, or?
I'm a mediocre fan.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not as diehard as a lot of the people that live in North Texas.
Sure.
Much bigger college football fan. Understand that.
Okay, so just more so a college football fan than an NFL fan.
But I'm a DFW sports guy, so I usually turn off sports radio when they start talking about the Cowboys because it's just depressing. It lasts all day long too. But I like the Cowboys.
You like the Cowboys?
I mean, if their offensive line.
I feel like it's getting down here almost. I had to turn off sports radio today because it's such a roller coaster ride. If they win, they're the best.
Ridiculous.
They're winning the Super Bowl. If they lose that week, then it's they're awful. They're not gonna. I bet after the Jets game, it was
ridiculous.
horrendous. Yeah.
I thought they were going to burn down the stadium.
This one game.
Yeah, one game. It was ridiculous.
What about you, Andy?
I was raised
Cowboys,
to go
Skins?
against the Cowboys, so
You going Skins?
I'm going Redskins with an emphasis on Santana Moss.
Little fantasy football. I'm with you there.
I need a big day for
It's
Jason.
a good pick. Any fantasy football players out there, Santana Moss is great. That's where Rex Grossman's looking every time. He'll have 6-7 catches a game.
We may talk a little more fantasy as the game goes on. Bob?
I'm going Cowboys because my dad is a diehard fan. He won't watch my kids for free if I don't say that. So, I totally agree with you, and that's why I was interested to see the front of the game. Is I think we're going to find out early, because I think they're going to come right for Tony and try to rough him up at the beginning, and I think that's going to kind of set the pace. So I think that's the thing to watch right now.
Well, even if he doesn't get roughed up, the mobility is going to be a lot less because now he's wearing like some extra protective, vest.
Kevlar vest, right?
Correct.
Like
Like bulletproof vest. I don't know what's going on over there in Dallas, but anyhow, I mean
It's
that's
a tough area.
Don't want to know.
I mean, there's some
Arlington
shooting.
is a rough town.
It is a rough area, yeah.
Arlington is a rough town.
But I mean, that's the thing. So even if they don't get to him, even if they give him the great protection, he might not be mobile enough. I mean,
Yeah.
you got a vest like that. I mean, how can you throw?
Have you done a head count on how many guys you got on each team, or how many guys you've trained on each team?
We got a few only. Now, very little on this team's, but
Okay.
so
I
we're.
didn't know if you ever do a head count when you're watching the game. Like, all right.
Yeah, I talked about it
That's
earlier.
3. That's 5. Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, this game I'll enjoy, but unfortunately, some games when we're watching them, I don't get to really enjoy the game. You're just watching. Oh, he missed a block. Oh, he did this and then that, and so it's kind of good when you're watching some games that don't have too many players.
There you go.
And also at the same time, you don't have to cross your fingers that nobody gets hurt. At least our players.
That's right.
So.
Guys come across from around the country to train with Danny Arnold at PLEX, and we're going to find out a little bit more in our one-on-one segments as Eric will sit down individually with each of our guests along the way this evening. As we get started, the Redskins are going to start with the ball, And one of the things I wanted to bring up on the Cowboys is
That's a tall guy.
I believe they're carrying 2 kickers this year. Two, or,
It was 3.
a punter and two place
3.
kickers, right?
Yeah.
David Beeler made the team. Dan Bailey we saw kick off there. I
They
mean,
drafted David Beeler.
is it just
And
make
they
it easy?
drafted Beeler, and he does actually play some special teams, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think he actually,
can
because
tackle.
he actually, because he's a bigger guy, very athletic, ran like a 4.5 at the combine.
Yeah.
But it is weird, and
Jerry
especially-
Jones reinventing the wheel, right?
especially, you only have 53 spots, and to use 2 of them on kickers is not exactly customary.
Well, the Redskins this year look completely different in terms of confidence and ability, moving the ball. Is that all about Rex Grossman, or is it, I guess, the second year with
A
Shanahan?
little bit of both. This offense isn't exactly easy to pick up, especially the passing part of it.
You played, for those who don't know, Eric played for Kyle Shanahan here when he was the Texans offensive coordinator, and the Shanahans run a very similar offense to what Gary Kubiak runs.
It's almost identical, and the thing of it is that it, like I said, they tend to carry so many passes in the game plan that it's different, and there you go, Rex Grossman getting a nice shot downfield to Santana Moss there.
Little fist pump.
Yeah, there you go. There's adds 2 fantasy points on the ticker right there. Yeah, but it's a very customary play in college. We would call that ISO pass right there, but they carry a lot of plays, and it's a lot of knowledge, and you have to retain a lot of it, and it's just hard. It's hard to have all that and to be able to run it at full speed. And so the second year in, the quarterback's more comfortable. This is actually Rex's 3rd year in the offense, if you look at it that way, and that's even better because I've heard a lot of people say your 3rd year in the Shanahan offense is when you make that big step, and you can also already see that he's doing that right now. But like I said, I think the fact that Hightower there has completely changed this offense. They got a good line. Trent Williams, the young left tackle. Jamal Brown's been around for a while. They got some solid guys in the interior. They should be able to run the ball effectively enough to be able to play action and to be able to protect it. And I think that will give Rex a chance to be successful.
Tim Hightower, what a steal. They get him for almost nothing from the Arizona Cardinals, a guy who wasn't bad last year, and now he's the featured back in this offense.
The Cardinals, for whatever reason, just decided that they were going to keep drafting guys and adding guys, and never really looked at him. And if you watched the Cardinals last year, their explosive plays came from Tim Hightower. It was like he was raking a 50-yard run once a game, and he'd get 5 carries. It was just a weird deal that I don't quite understand. I think they were invested in some of their draft picks, and they decided to go that way. But in this offense, I like the speed guys. I like the guys that can take that one cut and get up the field and break it for 40 yards, because you have to be able to, if you're going to be a successful running the ball, you have to be able to do that.
And they've got a backup running back, Roy Halou, who we'll see spell
Nebraska.
Hightower at times. 4th-round pick. He's really the home run hitter in that backfield. As good as Hightower's been, Halou's got the breakaway speed that you're talking about.
That was right there. That was a handoff to Chris Cooley, and Cooley's a tight end. But that's
How many times do you see that?
there you go. Well, that's Kyle's going to mix personnel groups. He's going to move guys in and out. He's going to use tight ends as fullbacks on the line, get you into different spots as a defensive coordinator that you don't want to be in defensive packages. It's going to be a good test between the Ryan and Shanahans here tonight.
Being that you played,
There it is, right down the middle.
Yeah.
Eric, being that you got coached by that coach, when you guys are playing against that team, do you actually play a role with the defense to kind of mimic more? I know, obviously, you guys are limited with numbers, but to show exactly how these guys
It's
are
called
faced.
training camp.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. I could pretty much say every play they're doing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's our stuff. I mean, and you can say anyway, or Kubiak got it from them, whatever you want to say.
Sure.
But it's, I'm sure the terminology is. I'm serious. I guarantee you, Matt Schaub could probably go over to the Redskins right now and run 85 to 90% of their plays without a problem, without even getting ready for it. And that's just how they're doing. I notice what they're doing. And it's very same. And hey, I don't blame them. That's what the Shanahan's been doing for a lot of years now. It's been very successful in this league. But as far as just if we were playing the Redskins again, hey, let's go out there and run our base offense, because that's really what you're getting ready for. It's the same kind of techniques, and it's the same what they're trying to do. Now, does Kyle have some more favorite kind of routes than, let's say, Coach Coobs has, or from our other offensive coordinator, Mike Sherman, used to have. Yeah. I mean, they have their own favorite quirks and what they like to run on 3rd and 6 as opposed to the other guy. But, you know, like I said, as you look at the playbook, it's pretty close to similar.
And when you have an even matchup like that, or when you have more of a matchup that you know their stuff, they know somewhat of your stuff, do you like that more because then it becomes more of an athleticism type of game? Or is it more of the craft games, the ones that you don't know too much?
It's tricky. You know, it's something that you're probably not going to be surprised by much, especially on the offense when each defense shouldn't be surprised by much because, you know, we don't run the same defense, but we all run the same offense. But it gets into I'm sure the play calling gets into it. I bet he's thinking, I'm thinking that he's thinking, you know, and then it gets going into that, you know, I can definitely, I can definitely see that kind of thing going on.
How many of you are here playing here tonight? A lot of them? How many of the guys from your university here?
Good amount. You got Santana Moss. I'm trying to think. The Redskins used to have a lot of guys. They've backed off a little bit here, but the Redskins had a good amount. I kind of drawn a blank over. I don't think anybody from the Cowboys. I'm trying to think of somebody from the Cowboys. I'm losing it right now, but I know Santana Moss. Maybe that's something good for the listeners right now.
Hey, we want you to
spot every Miami guy on Twitter.
That's right. Yeah. Looks like Graham Gano is going to give the Redskins a 3-point lead. We want you to join us. Part of the show is you being involved in the action here, and we want you to join us on Twitter. All you have to do is text us tweet us your questions at Thebus. That's at THEBUS TV. Thebus TV. Send us your questions, whether it's for Eric or for any of our guests. We want to hear from you, and as the show rolls on, we'll be talking a little bit about your questions and getting the answers from our guests off the Twitter feed brought to you by Verizon. Hey, listen, I don't know if you guys had a chance to eat. Chicken Kitchen is nice enough to serve us dinner here every night, and
you can go for a drink.
Kind of hungry.
Drink, yep.
I haven't seen Chick Norris though. I don't know. It's a bummer because
where's
really
Chick
hungry.
at?
I don't know.
Chick.
Come in, Chick.
Normally I get punched if I just yelled, "Hey, Chick." Sometimes I can get away with it.
That's what you're saying.
All right.
I got a question for you because I did a corporate event a couple years ago, and they actually took us out on the Cowboy field and had us do
Oh yeah.
Hey.
There you go, my lemonade.
Thanks for the water.
Chick is here.
Awesome. I feel so much better about my career now.
You're on the right path.
Yeah, I'm doing okay all of a sudden. But they took us out and let us do some pass punt and all that kind of stuff, and it didn't affect I was still able to punt it 18 yards. But anything in the stadium that you have to factor in, any kind of weird thing about that you have to plan for as a field? Everything's
not as far as I go now. Receivers, how they're looking, if it's a deep ball, is it a white top? Is it darker? Is it, how the light's going to affect in it? Are the lights, at this level? Are they here? I think that's something that they have to factor in. You don't hear about a lot of balls getting lost in the lights, but you tend to, at least a little bit in our stadium as well. Some visiting teams, you can tell sometimes they're running down the field, they kind of lose it there for a second. So I think as far as that goes, sometimes the way the stadiums are shaped and compared to what time of game you're playing a noon game, a 4 o'clock game with the sun setting, because usually the stadiums are always built north to south, and sunsets obviously west to east. No, just right.
Even in Dallas?
Yeah, even in Dallas. And and you'll have shadows, and you'll have, like, if we play a noon game with the roof open, which only happens like once a year because it's in December, they'll have the sun for the first part of the game will shine on like a quarter of the field. I guess the northeast corner of the field. And so if you kick off that way, it's really hard for the kick returner to catch it. Little quirks like that.
Yeah.
Not a lot. There's not a lot of them around the NFL that are like that, but you'll see some little quirks like that. And I think for the guys that catch the balls, I think it's probably the only guys that have to worry about it.
Have you been to the stadium in Dallas?
I
Jerry
haven't.
Jones
I haven't
Palace
been
there? Cowboys Stadium.
You see it every day.
Yeah, I've been to See, I'm a huge OU fan, so I went to 2 OU games there. And,
Do you go to OU?
No, I started music instead, but I got in. That was my first choice of school. But I went to a couple of games there, and then went to a Cowboy game. I don't really like Cowboy games. It's kind of
That screen is just ridiculous.
My buddies call it the most expensive bar in the state.
Sports bar?
Yeah, because you go there and all you end up doing is watching the game on the TV.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, you do. And even when you sit in the end zones, you still watch the end zones.
It is incredible to see a screen that large. It's almost like you have trouble, if you want to watch the game, you have trouble watching the field because your eyes are just drawn to, wow, can I have one of those in my living room?
It takes away a lot from the value of the game.
Is it loud in there? Because they said it was so big.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's loud? Or?
Oh my gosh, it's so loud.
Really?
It's just, I mean, I don't know if it gets real loud for Cowboy games, but college football
Not
is
lately,
ridiculously loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, not lately. No.
What's the loudest game you ever been? Involved?
College or pro?
Pro.
That game the other
Last
day
week
was
was
pretty
bad.
hot. I would say the old RCA Dome in Indianapolis is deafening. It's absolutely deafening. Minnesota is real loud because it's shaped exactly like the old RCA Dome.
And they've got some really good speakers there.
I'm almost positive they pumped some noise in there. But the Superdome, I got to give it credit. There were some parts of it that were extremely loud. It was tough.
So we see Felix Jones, another of the walking wounded for the Cowboys, had a separated shoulder last week, is playing. Tony Romo is playing as well with his, you can see that Kevlar vest under whatever shirt he was warming up in there. I got to wonder, that it's got to be 50-50 whether Romo makes it through this game.
At the most.
Yeah, I mean.
Like I said, I think it's going to come down to, can they stay balanced? Can they, look, I mean, you can see the Redskins are all up. They're just dying for a chance.
They're
dying for a
hungry.
chance. Right now, the Redskins are even having trouble getting lined up on defense because they're just itching to go get them.
It is a roller coaster, like you were saying. And
Des Bryant,
strong man.
when healthy, is one of the best receivers in the game, I think. It's just he's never healthy.
Athletically, he's so impressive. You know, you see him and what he's doing already as his second year and his first year. It's so impressive, his ability, his athletic ability. I think for him, it's going to be all about, can he stay hungry? Can he stay consistent with what he's doing in his work ethic? And I'd love to see Jerry Jones go get, Miles Austin's going to be good for him, but someone, just a veteran guy, a veteran leader that I think Tony Romo and Jason Witten will also be good for him. Just a guy that he can look up to and just work every day because the sky's the limit for him. I mean, I think athletically he's up there with Andre Johnson. I really do athletically.
Wow, really? That's pretty high.
That's
praise.
athletically.
Yeah, it is.
But now, was he going to have the same production? Is he willing to work every day like Andre? Is he willing to lay it out there like Andre does? That's the hard part. There's a lot of great athletes. There's not a lot of guys that use athleticism that's willing to do it day in and day out like Andre does.
The Cowboys with 2 rookies starting on their line, plus Phil Costa, their starting center, was hurt last week. He too is gutting it out for this game. You got to think the Redskins are going to try to exploit that offensive line.
Well, they're young. I think they're going to get tested early in the season. Anytime you're a young line, you have some new starters. Teams are going to come after you. They're going to be aggressive and they're going to test you. There's Lon Landry. Look at number 30 on the Redskins. This guy is going to be around the ball all night. Exceptional player. Can blitz, can cover, can hit, can do it all. He's a great player, and you're going to see him coming in there. You got it. He's kind of he's one of those safeties, one of those 3 or 4 safeties around the league that you have to incorporate in your blocking.
All he's missing is the long, curly black hair. Otherwise, he'd be Troy Polamalu, right?
He plays the same kind of game. He's in the box a lot. Then all of a sudden, you'll see him deep center of the field. It's quite impressive.
The Redskins showing a lot of blitz looks here.
A lot of blitz looks. They're all up. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna make him make decisions.
Do guys? D'Angelo Hall commented this week.
There's a flag on the play right there.
Is that an interference call?
Yeah, PI on Jason Witten.
Yeah.
And not on Jason Witten, but
whoever was covering him was about a foot shorter than Jason Witten.
Yeah.
That's a tough task. D'Angelo Hall, though, this week, when asked about Tony Romo playing with those fractured ribs and punctured lung, he said, yeah, I'm going after him. I'm going for those ribs. I'm going to test him out. Is that against the code of ethics in the NFL?
I wouldn't say it's against the code of ethics. I'd say that D'Angelo Hall ain't going to hit anybody. but, I mean, I think he might have been talking about his teammates are going to try to test it out. But, that's not against the code. Now, if it was a knee, if it was something else, it was something like an ankle or a knee, I think that'd be kind of you wouldn't want to say that. But as far as, your ribs, I think that's kind of, everyone realizes that's a clean and legal shot.
Well, that's part of the game, and I mean, if somebody runs slow, you plan around that. I mean, you find their weaknesses, and I think if somebody's got sore ribs, you factor that in,
Sure.
and it's got to be part of the game.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
As I say safely here in my chair, never to play.
And defenses are, I mean, they're looking to hurt offensive players anyway. I mean, not dirty hurt, but hit them so hard that they hurt. I just didn't, I don't know, I thought D'Angelo Hall took a lot of heat for something that most defensive players privately would have said. Maybe his mistake was talking about it publicly.
Yeah, and I can see, like I said, you shouldn't blast it out there like that, especially if you're not known for tackling and hitting.
Yeah.
That's the kind of the comedy of it, is that you're not really known for being that mean of a hitter or a tackler.
So that's probably the real question: is should you say it or not? Whether or not you do.
Like I said, if it's a ribs thing, I guess it's not that big of a deal. Although he did have a punctured lung, but if it was a knee or an ankle thing, I think that would have probably been a little different.
We, from our crack research staff, we have 3 Miami players on
Rocky
the Redskins.
McIntosh, I forgot about
Santana
Rocky.
Moss, Rocky McIntosh, linebacker, and Leonard Hankerson.
Very good linebacker.
3 players from the U on the Redskins. You're going to lose your Hurricanes card for not being able to identify it.
Leonard came after me, so I'm not surprised I didn't know that, but I should have known Rocky. Rocky, I played together with Rocky for, I think, all 4 years. Yeah, all 4 years I was there, and he can run, he can cover. He's a guy that likes to hit. He's what you're looking for in a linebacker, that's for sure.
What do you see from Tony Romo so far? It doesn't look like he's
Yeah, it looks
hampered
like Tony Romo. It looks like the same old same. Well, they always give him a couple plays at the line. You're going to see him killing plays and getting in and out of plays a lot. And see it right there. They're going to check it, and now he's going to check their protection here. And as you notice, though, they're keeping 2 backs in the whole time, and and they're making sure that he has a chance to be protected here.
Now let's see. The Cowboys unable to convert that 3rd down opportunity, so they'll send one of their kickers out for a field goal. Good coverage there.
Good protection, good coverage, good everything. I just, they got him in 3rd and long. That's a tough part of the NFL. 3rd and long is a tough down and distance to get. You got to protect real well, and got to give your receivers a chance to get down the field.
We see who this was.
Dan Bailey. And he drills it right down the middle. So the game tied at 3. Hey, along the way, we like to bring in special guests, and one of the regulars here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show is our own Katie, the referee girl, who joins us now. For she's not blowing her whistle, but she's got it around her neck just in case she needs it.
I know. I'm really tempted, though. I'm really tempted.
She has a question from the crowd, which we're going to have interspersed throughout the show tonight.
I do. They seem to be wondering about the 2 teams. We got Buffalo and Detroit. They right now are going 3-0, which I'm pretty sure no one saw coming. How do y'all feel about that?
The Bills.
I haven't seen the Bills, but I did pick up Ryan Fitzpatrick because I drafted Peyton Manning mistakenly.
Oops.
I watched a little bit of a game a couple weeks ago. They look good. I mean, they're obviously for real. They beat the Patriots, right?
That is a huge win for them.
Might need a little help on defense, though, if they're going to keep it down to last-second field goals to beat teams. But
what'd you make of that, Eric? 4 interceptions for Tom Brady. He had, 4 interceptions all last year?
Yeah, that's surprising. I think the Patriots ended up punting like 1 time the whole game too. So they had 4 picks and 1 punt, but that's you don't usually see that. Guys, Brady he's probably the most accurate quarterback in the game. He's always putting it in a position where it's either a receiver or nobody can catch it. I think that was the most surprising thing, that he had an interception. And then he had the interceptions at a crucial time in the game. You hardly ever see that as well. So he had the pick 6 where it allowed them to tie the game up or take the lead, one or the other. That's just very uncharacteristic. I guess it just reminds her that he is human.
Yeah.
And it is able to intercept him multiple times in a game, which doesn't happen very often.
Who's the other 3-0 team that you mentioned?
Detroit.
Bills and the Lions. I mean, the Lions were down big time, and they come back to win that
I'd say
game.
the Bills are a little bit more surprising in the sense of, they haven't, they've beaten some good teams. Obviously, they beat Kansas City, and Kansas City is 0-3. They're not very good, but they beat Oakland. Oakland seems like they're turning into a pretty good team. And then they beat, obviously, the Patriots, which everyone kind of felt like they were the team, but, they've been giving up a lot of points. So you like Buffalo, but they didn't really do it in the preseason. Detroit did it in the preseason. They were beating up on teams in the preseason. You saw it last year. The last, I think, 8 games, they went 4-4 last year, something like that. So you saw that coming of age. I would say now it's time for Detroit to go beat some good teams. You know, I don't think they've
Detroit's got
played
the
some good
quarterback,
teams.
and if he stays healthy, that's the key with Detroit.
Yeah,
And we all knew that. You know?
Yeah,
But he hasn't been able to stay
Yeah,
healthy.
they can put up some numbers. Like I said, Detroit's got to go play and beat some good teams now. They beat Kansas City too, which isn't very good. They beat Minnesota, who's 0-3. They're not very good. You know, I forgot who else they've beaten.
So you
but
think it's more of that they just
well, I'm not
haven't
saying it is.
been
I think
good
Detroit's a good team, and I think there's probably a good chance Detroit wins 10 games this year. But I'm just saying I'm not as surprised about that because they did it in the preseason. They've beaten up on some, I think, some weaker teams are going to turn out to be some weaker teams this year, and you know, and we'll see. But I think the biggest surprise has been Buffalo so far. No one saw them coming 3-0, much less 2-1.
What are the chances of them? I mean, it's a statement win over the Patriots, but are they a 10-win team?
He brought up a good point over here, is that they're giving up a lot of points.
Yeah.
They're giving up a lot of points, and I think it's just hard to maintain that offensive consistency. Listen, Shane Gailey's a new, it's kind of a new play caller at Buffalo. You know, they had last year and then this year. Teams are going to start scheming for Fitzpatrick now. They're going to start scheming around, okay, Steve Johnson, let's take Chandler out of the game. Now let's see what they can do. Obviously, they've been able to stay balanced. Their line's a little bit better. But, you know, we faced a little bit last year. When you're faced with scoring points every single week to try to win games, and you have to be in the 30s, it's so tough. And when you start playing teams that know you, that will say, okay, this is what they do. All we got to do is just keep them to field goals and keep them down. Don't turn the ball over. It's going to be tough for them to end up beating us, end up putting up 28 or 31. I think that's what they could run into. So if their defense starts playing better, they can win some 21-17 games, some 17-14 games. They can make a run at it. But if they don't, I just think it's going to be tough for them, especially in that division. They still got the Jets twice. They still got the Dolphins twice. I'm trying to think. They got to go. They got to play. They already played Oakland.
They have to play New England.
You know, they're going to have to play
right.
San Diego.
Yep.
They're going to have to play some of these teams. So, you know, they're definitely. It's definitely still a long road for them.
Yep. We want to talk a little bit more about Fred Jackson later in the show. Katie, thanks for joining us.
I'll be back.
Be back. Oh,
Had to do it.
she likes that whistle.
The show must be doing well. She didn't have the whistle last time.
Yeah.
So look at you.
She's moved
Stepping
up
it
a
up. Yeah, the buzzer.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to remind you to check out BilliardFactory.com. The Billiard Factory locations all around the country, including 10 here in Texas. We have all of our furniture provided by the Billiard Factory. You can build your own man cave at BilliardFactory.com. We invite you to go there, and thanks again to the Billiard Factory for being part of this. Also want to remind you on the Verizon Twitter feed, tweet us your questions at Thebus TV, at The Bus TV, THEBUS TV for those of you spelling challenged. And send us your questions, and as the game rolls on, we'll have answers for you as best we can. The Redskins getting the ball back in pretty good field possession here. Oh, this is a replay.
Little
I'm like,
highlights.
man, how did they get to the 50-yard line
Well, they
in one play?
This had a non-gain right here, so
Okay.
second and 10, right? Obviously 3-3. I think it's going to be a close one all night.
The way their O-line moves.
So like I said, they're running outside zone right now, much like we run. Hightower's doing a great job of pressing the hole, meaning that he's taking it all the way out there, and he's going to see if he can get the edge. Anytime you're running outside zone, you'd love to get the edge. Now, you see a lot of our backs, a lot of their backs cut it back, and that's just because linebackers are over-pursuing, they're running over the top. But he's pressing that edge. He's going to keep going, and sometimes it looks like there's any point he's going to cut it back, but he hits that sideline and goes. You know, there's not many more defenders out there that can get him.
To Marcus Ware.
There you go. They try to go back to the fullback
Same thing,
dive,
right?
didn't get it. But remember what we said in pregame. Look at Jason Elam right there. Safety coming in between the center and the guard gap. Running a B-gap blitz right there. They're running an A-gap blitz. They'll do that. They'll run two backers in the same hole. Watch, we're going to have the middle linebacker hit it, then you're going to have the safety hit it. Time of the snap count, and you just
Good
don't
luck
have
with that.
you don't have the same amount of blockers, so you have to gain one from somewhere else, and they're able to shut it down. That's just good game planning, too, by Rob Ryan. He understands. He knew that they might go back to that play, that they might go back to something up the middle on 3rd and 1, he was willing to let them roll the dice and run a pass or run an outside zone again that has a chance for getting a tackle for loss. Guessed right there, a big stop, and then they have the punt.
So the Cowboys going to get it back with a chance to take the lead. Hey, want to ask you, we talked a little bit about the Bills. Two guys that I've seen this year really take a step to the next level, two running backs. Fred Jackson of the Bills and Darren McFadden of the Raiders, who was huge in their win over the Jets yesterday. These guys, I feel like, don't get the attention that some of the other premier running backs in this league get. But it looks to me, at least through 3 games, like they're every bit as good as the best backs in the league.
Well, this started about 3 years ago with Oakland. And I think it really started with Lane Kiffin got the job. And he's kind of one of those outside zone guys, zone running guys. And then Cable was offensive line coach. He learned under Alex Gibbs, which a lot of this offense has. And then he became the head coach, and they stayed with the running game. And they've been committed to that now for 3 or 4 years. They went out and they drafted Eric McFadden, I think, with the 4th pick in the draft. Exceptional athlete. I mean, I'm sure Danny could talk about him more and more, but he's a tall, just thick, strong guy that can run. And you saw him when he broke that, Cromartie couldn't even catch him. So that was something that you noticed that it's impressive about him. He can break tackles, he can catch the ball and screens out of the backfield. They shape a lot of that offense around him. You have to be able to stop McFadden to stop them. And right now, no one has yet. He's just been running up and down the field on everybody. And when you run up and down the field in the Jets, that's pretty impressive because there's not a lot of running backs that do that.
And Fred Jackson looks every bit as good as McFadden.
He's breaking big runs. You know, you're
probably
right.
Doesn't have the breakaway speed.
You know, he's sneaky fast, though. He's a guy with great vision, and he does a lot of kickoff returns, or he did do a lot of kickoff returns there. And when you're a good kickoff returner, you have to have that acceleration to beat the pursuit, and then B, you have to have that vision to get to the right hole and go through it. So he obviously has those two things, and he's using it right now. They're both breaking big runs. I think the key for them is staying on that schedule and being able to keep on doing it.
A couple of Twitter questions from our friends at Verizon. Twitter question from Allison. She asks, what are the season-long prospects of Team Sex Cannon led by Sexy Rexy, Rex Grossman, your former teammate?
You know, like I said, I know they're going to throw the ball. Kyle likes to throw the ball. He finds ways to get receivers open, and he finds, they're able to find consistently every week, find ways to get guys open and get the ball downfield. But I think the big thing will just be, is Rex disciplined enough to stay in there, be able to check the ball down like he has been, and be able to just kind of manage the offense. If he's able to do that, I think he's going to put up some big fantasy numbers.
Another Twitter question from our Twitter feed, at Thebus TV, at The Bus TV, from Matty Mast. Notice referee Ed Hockley is working this game tonight. He says his guns are smaller this year. Did they start testing the refs for PEDs?
No comment.
That's great.
You got to remember, Hockley is up there in age, too. A lot of people don't realize he's an older guy.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's an older guy. You see him in person, you're like, oh, he's a little older. It's impressive, though.
He's sitting in front of the mirror, though, before the game starts, right?
Well, you got to think that shirt's kind of tailored for him, too.
Yeah.
Right? That shirt's kind of got a special cut to it from the courtesy of the NFL.
Hey, Miles Austin is out this game. We saw Kevin Ogletree with a catch there. Tony Romo and Miles Austin have always had a connection. How much is he going to miss him in this game?
You know, Miles Austin's the receiver on the other side. When you put Des Bryant and Miles Austin on either side, that's tough for a defense because that means you can't really shade a safety either way. And they got to either play too high and let you run it against 7, or they got to pick one. And Miles Austin's just been that consistent receiver for Romo over the last 3 years. That's a big loss. That's someone that he's going to look to on 3rd and 6, and it's not going to be there. Des Bryant or Witten's going to have to step up.
And the Redskins.
There's a big play right there. Oh, there's a
there you
fumble.
go.
There's your boy, LaRon Landry, forcing the fumble. Now,
this is going to be a real interesting call because it looked like he touched the ball while he was out of bounds and didn't have control of it. Now, that could be considered the ball's out of bounds, and if he didn't have...
They're talking about it right now.
If he didn't have possession, that would go back to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But this is going to be real interesting. I think this is going to be one of those calls that need to be replayed. But watch Lon. I mean, just look at him. He's ferocious. He's a guy that just goes after the ball, just doesn't stop. He's everywhere around the field. He's coming back behind play. He was supposed to blitz that play, smelt it out, turned around, ran Ogletree down.
Just as we're talking about Ogletree replacing Miles Austin, key turnover. If they award it to the Redskins, I'm not so sure that he didn't bat the ball before he landed on the sidelines.
This will be an interesting ruling.
let's see the replay here and keep an eye on the
Well,
guy
obviously
who's
it's a
diving
fumble.
in.
I mean,
Right.
obviously,
Yeah,
it's a
right.
fumble.
But the question
So
is,
now is
this guy comes diving in right here. Is he out of bounds when he touches it?
No. So
He
it
was
looks
airborne.
like, yeah, and then he disengaged when he actually went out of
Kevin
bounds.
Barnes diving there to keep the ball in bounds.
So I think
That's gonna be
either way
Redskins
this
ball.
goes, now this is, they're going to challenge. So if they award the ball to the Redskins, I think Dallas would challenge it. And
Right.
I think now that they award it to there, that Shanahan's going to challenge it.
The key is watch Kevin Barnes and where his body touches the sideline.
Now, but he was out of bounds,
So he's
though.
considered an out of bounds person.
So he was considered out of bounds. Did you see that he touched the out of bounds and then touched the ball?
Are you
Yeah.
sure that his foot was on the
It
ground?
looked like it. I would
It
be
slid
surprised
across,
if Shanahan doesn't.
Yeah.
Shanahan's going to challenge. You have to. This is, especially with the scoring plays now being challenged already or being reviewed already.
At least some
It just
of them
makes
are.
sense. These are, at least this makes sense now to challenge. Now, if that rule wasn't in effect, you'd have to be much more careful with the reviews. You notice this year, there's very few reviews, flags being thrown. I don't see a lot being thrown. There hasn't been a lot thrown in our games.
Well,
I think
watch
marriages.
Did his foot touch? I mean, that's what it comes down to, is whether his foot touched the
I don't know.
sideline.
Now, from the other angle, at first it didn't look like it. Then the second time it looked like it. Now the third time it doesn't look like it.
White shoes and white sidelines, man.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
don't help.
By the way, I think marriages would be better if we had that review flag. You know, just be able to throw it out there and have somebody come out and, you know.
That'd be good, but who would review the play?
I don't know.
I don't
Hopefully
think-
it'd be a guy. That would be helpful. Give me some backup.
I'd like to throw that flag. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Sometimes I feel like throwing the yellow flag, but
Yeah.
that probably puts me further in the doghouse. So we have Katie, the referee girl, who is here for reviews just like this one. We'll be bringing her out for her opinion. As they go to the booth, we go to our own version of the booth with Katie. She's going to be joining us in just a minute. I want to reset here for those of you just joining us here in the first quarter, late in the first quarter. We are not your ordinary sports show. It's our third edition here on the third week of Monday Night Football. We're glad to have you along. Our guests today include Bob Smiley, Christian comic, Danny Arnold from PLEX, trained some of the best athletes in sports in America. And we have from the Black Matches, a group that will be performing at halftime, Bobby Duncan and Andy Bertelson. Guys, thanks for being a part of it. Let's bring in Katie for a quick review from our own referee.
Yeah.
Katie, in her expert opinion, what'd you think? Did the referees get it right? Should the Cowboys have the ball or should the Redskins have
I
it?
think the Redskins should have the ball. Granted, I am born and raised in Houston, have a bit of an issue with some Dallas, but no, I mean, they dropped it. He dropped it. They went scrambling around like a bunch of crazy kids, so I think they deserve it. Just, E for effort.
Give it to the Redskins, says Katie. All right, we're going to see. I have a feeling most of the calls tonight are going against the Cowboys from that.
Can I
We
challenge
get-
that call?
Yeah.
We get another look here.
She likes to see it from her own point of view.
Yeah.
You know what? He was in the air.
I think he's in the air. You know what?
But what's the
was
ruling?
it
Because his
conclusive?
foot slid out but then went up. So isn't he still considered out of bounds?
Well, if
once
he goes,
steps?
if he goes out of bounds at any time, he's considered out. But
See, I think his foot
I don't think he
slipped
ever
out.
touched.
see, I think he was in the air. His foot was over
What a
the.
smart player to realize he shouldn't touch because he knew he was out of bounds, right?
Probably
I
wore
don't think he
thinner
did that on
shoes just in case.
purpose. I think it was a hot potato and he didn't quite have it.
Yeah.
And they zoom in on it.
Yeah, he just whiffed.
And it's out of his hands by the time he lands. Is that conclusive, though? I mean, that's the key, right? They have to have conclusive evidence to
I hate
overturn
the fact
the
that
call.
it's like, oh, there's not conclusive. With technology now, how can you not be conclusive? How can you not figure it out with the way technology is? There's got to be 100 cameras in that stadium.
Sure.
You're telling me you can't get one with the exact angles and say, all right, we know for
I
sure
don't
what
know how much
happened.
tennis you guys watch, but tennis has an instant replay. That
Right.
is completely flawless, and I don't understand why they don't use it. It's like takes 2 seconds, and I don't know why the NFL doesn't do that.
I would think that they could do that, especially like on questions of whether the ball crossed the goal line. Why can't they put a sensor in the ball that shows whether the ball actually broke the plane of the goal line? I think someday we'll probably have that, right?
I think the big thing with that is you never know if the guy was down when the ball crossed. I mean, how many times do you see guys go to knee
When the
and then
knee
stretch
goes
the
down.
ball
Yeah.
out?
All right.
You
so
can put
the,
sensors in their knees,
Redskins
too.
do get the
You know.
ball. They overturn the call, and the Redskins are going to have great field position.
You know, there's a crazy rule, and this would have been the only time it probably would have came up. but you know how the long hair is considered your body, because you know you can actually tackle
Right.
someone. And they asked the official the other day, so that means that if you have a situation like this, and this guy did have long hair, if his hair would have touched the out of bounds,
Oh man,
it's considered a part of your body,
Yeah.
and it would have been
your
out of
hair.
bounds. Correct. I mean, he has pretty long
'Cause
hair.
you can tackle people from their hair now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
It's considered part of the jersey.
it's safe to say that I will probably never get that, that down.
You don't have to worry about
position.
that, huh?
Oh, that just looked like he felt really awkward there.
Was that Hightower? Yep. And a little extracurricular activity.
Little John.
I mean, Kenny Rogers has let himself go.
He's put a few pounds on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Do
mean,
you think? Okay, let me ask you. Whoa,
Excuse me.
that was a train. That's the train that goes by. Do you think that that's a big thing for Rob Ryan? Do you think that's something that that's a reason why he's not getting some interviews for head coaching is the way he looks? Do you
He
think
said that, hasn't
Do you
he?
think that did he?
Maybe. Well,
I
why
think
would
He
so.
cut
said
his
he'd have
hair?
to cut his hair before he could
Doesn't
be a
anybody
head
want to be a
coach.
head coach?
I mean, doesn't that then go against his persona of kind of F the NFL, like I'm going to do it my way kind of a thing? But if you look at Rex Ryan, I mean, think about what he's done since he got this gig. He wants to stay in this gig, right? He got gastric bypass. He lost 50 pounds, so he doesn't look obese. You know, he always has his hair short. I don't know if he ever had it real long to begin with, but he always is clean cut, looking good. He wears suits. You know, he's trying to. He tries to play the. He tries. Yeah, I think he lost.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to remember when he was a coordinator there, or even his first year with the Jets, it was.
I don't want to
Yeah.
pass judgment, but he might consider another gastric
Oh.
bypass.
Well, I saw him one time out at I think it was at the combine. It was like 11:30 at night, and me and my brother were just grabbing a late bite, and he was eating enough for 3 people. Right? He was pounding. That was impressive. I was just sitting there watching him having a beer, like this is unbelievable.
So the Redskins, turnovers like this, particularly inside your own 20, these can be game changers, right?
They can if you can convert on it, but Cowboys overall have done a good job tonight, and the Redskins are kind of feast and famine right now in the run game. They're either hitting 10, 12-yard runs, 8-yard runs, or they're getting no yard runs or negative 1-yard runs. This is a run right here where you're running, kind of weak one back, and you got to get up to this. You got to get up to the linebackers. There's no fullback. You have to get a guy covering up the linebacker and allow the back to make a cut.
Sean Lee with the tackle there. The other Cowboys linebackers, DeMarcus Ware, deservedly get a lot of attention. Sean Lee, though, is playing his butt off this year.
He plays great.
For
He's
an
all over
undersized
the place. He's
linebacker.
all over the place. He's always making plays.
And he nearly came up with the interception
Yeah.
there.
So
So
there you go. Force another field goal. That's a huge stop by Dallas. That's a victory. Anytime you turn the ball over like that and can force a field goal, that's big.
yeah, the Redskins are going to regret having the ball in that position and only coming away with, they hope at this point, 3 points.
Yeah.
Now look, they're looking. Even the players can't keep their eyes off the screen.
Well, I
right?
tend to, I'll tell you what, I tend to look at the jumbotron, the replays, just to see, hey, was that my guy, or how did this happen, or who fell into that play?
Are you just
It
come
helps.
on? You're just looking at how you look in that uniform.
Yeah, I already know how bad that looks.
But that's got to help. I mean, that's got to help
Sure,
you
it kind of
evaluate.
does, yeah, because you can automatically get instant, analysis right there. Like, oh, I got to get this far, or I got to
Yeah.
get over, whatever that guy's got to get. Make sure you see that. Danny, who are some of the guys that not just tonight, but around the league that impress you as far as athletically, and guys that maybe you haven't worked with, or you have worked with, or just guys like that that are kind of
One of your teammates is Johnson. I mean, I think is one of the greatest players out there. And,
Andre Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, he's just unbelievable. And he's, I think, built like a specimen. And
Sure.
for whatever reason, whether it be his personality, he's so quiet, at least in the outside world, that he doesn't get the notoriety or the publicity he should. But he's incredible. The one that I'm fortunate enough to work with, which was the best way to describe him, was really just God showing off, and that's Julius Peppers. I mean, he's maybe not the greatest defensive end, and there's many reasons why you might say or may not say that, but athletic-wise, I've never worked with someone that freakish. And Charles Woodson's another one that a lot of people don't realize. I mean, now they're catching up where defensive backs are that big, 6'2", 205, 210, but You know, Charles is another one that's a heck of an
People
athlete.
forget that this is his 15th year. Or something.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, remember Charles Woodson won the Heisman in 1997.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I mean, those are probably some of the better ones. As far as the big guys, you know, I was speaking to someone earlier when I first started my career was working with Orlando Pace, and now I look back and you know we were trying to get him to weigh over 305. I mean that was a big deal. I mean I was like, man, you got him
early
over.
on in Orlando's career. He slimmed up pretty good.
Correct, and
he was a little heavier towards the end.
Correct. You know, and that came with the years, but you know, 305 now is considered tiny. I think last year there was
That's undersized for a tackle,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. There was one guy in the combine, I believe, last year that was under 300 pounds.
Now, what do you see at guys coming out in college? Because, you know, from my point of view, there's already a difference. You know, this is my 6th year, and I see guys that are too heavy. I see guys that are not. I think they've taken too much. They put too much stock in their weight instead of into how athletic they are and how strong they are. And also, too, I see a lot of guys with a lot of knee problems. A ton of knee problems. And I wonder, do you think that's from the extra weight that guys are carrying? You see offensive linemen in high school now, 280, 285. You know, these kids, you know, the top recruit in the country is 320. And I'm like, the kid's 18. He's going to have a heart attack. You know, that's shocking to me. I mean, I was 260. I was a tight end at 260 coming out of Midland, you know, going to Miami, and I was plenty big. Yeah. You know, so seeing guys that are that big now is, you know, do you see that as like a trend going? Because you also don't see, I won't say that the guys that are getting drafted high aren't necessarily those big guys, though. Right. You know, I mean, they're 315 and 310 guys, but they're not the 340, 350 guys that are getting drafted high.
Well, I think in college, they're still trying to build an athlete rather than building a football player. And they get caught up on that. I mean,
what's the difference?
Well, in the sense that, you know, you rather go with a player that's just bottom line, a better football player, just makes the plays, understands, you know, hand checks, all those things you can't put measurables on. Who lowers his hips lower when he's, you know, rushing into the blocker and vice versa. I mean, and you can't put measurables on that, but you can put a measurable of, you know, 6'4", you know, X amount of weight and things like that. And college coaches, and also a little bit in the pros, but mainly in college coaches, see the strength coaches, they get their pub or their success based on what they do in the weight room. So they're going to build guys that are better in the weight room versus where the coaches, they just want better football players. They can care less. And, you know, Eric can bench press 400, but he can't stop a block. Or you want him to do, you know, the block. Oh, yeah, and if it happens to be that he's that strong, that's great.
It's for the same reason that you never see any weightlifting records in any NFL facility. Correct. But you see them in every college facility you ever walk into. Oh, this guy so-and-so has the bench press at this weight. And, you know, this guy has a squat record, and he went down 3 inches to get it, you know. So, yeah, you're right, you know, in the sense that weightlifting coaches in college are they're graded on a much different curve than weight coaches in the NFL. It's strange, it's different. But I see that a lot. I think it's sad because I've seen guys that come through here and just got knee problems at 22. And I'm like, how many surgeries? You got some surgeries? What happened? You got rolled up? No, never. Just, you know, they just ache. They just tight. You know,
wait, you had knee surgery in college?
I had I had a knee surgery in college. You know, I got rolled. I have a reason for it though. You know, I got nailed by 2 people when I didn't see it coming and got, you know, my knee dislocated. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't have to wear a brace anymore. I rehabbed it. I did everything I need to. You know, I haven't had any other problems. So I think that's a little different. I mean, you got guys that have chronic problems, chronic tendonitis, chronic, you know, that's stuff you didn't see very often. I even talked to a scout in the off season. He was telling me, you know, in the past, you know, guys that had a 2 grade medically, we moved them down 2 rounds. Now we're happy with guys that have 2s. We're willing to deal with that because there's, you know, it's that much more predominant.
Without getting into the details of why it's a problem, is some of that based on kids as they're coming up through the ranks in high school, turning to things that they shouldn't turn to, whether it's performance-enhancing drugs or something, and you know, overbuilding their body?
I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't been around that much, I feel like. I haven't, you know, maybe I'm just naive, but I haven't seen it a lot in high school or in college. You know, I'm not naive enough to think that nobody on the team was doing it, but, you know, to say that it's running rampant through high school and colleges, or at least the ones I was at, I would...
Well, you have these kids that are competing for scholarships, and I mean, they're not just trying to win for their team.
No, I understand that.
They get a full ride to a top school if they can be 320 pounds and bench
But here's
press
my
400.
point, I guess, is that my point is that it's not overweight because they got too much muscle. They're not these hard bodies that are walking around like, geez.
I prefer to call this muscle.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, it's more of, it's more of a case where, like you said, they're putting too much stock in, oh, I got to weigh 320 instead of, man, I need to be able to run a 5.0 or a 5.1, and be able to move and be able to run. I don't think, and for whatever reason, colleges are putting too much stock in that too. I would love to be a college offensive line coach right now because I'd go out and get a bunch of tight ends and run outside zone all day while everybody else. But what my point is that I can take a guy, and Danny could say this, as an 18-year-old, I can take a guy that's 260, 270 maybe tops, and by the time he's 20, after he's lifting weights full time now, because in high school you don't do that. What's he going to be? 295, 300? I mean, you got to, obviously he's getting into his adulthood and everything like that. You're going to naturally grow. So, I'd rather have a guy that's 300 pounds strong and can move than these guys that are 330 and can't bend and can't do anything, can't run.
They're fat.
You're very, and to me, what's funny about it, you're very limited in what you can do offensively, especially running the ball with 5 guys that can't go. And it was funny too because you saw a trend towards that in the NFL. You saw guys were getting so big, and you remember. And I really believe that the Super Bowl between Tampa Bay and Oakland Raiders changed that. You saw Oakland had like an offensive line that was like average 340 or something like that. It was just enormous guys, just huge guys. And you remember in that game, Tampa Bay just absolutely ran around them the whole game. Just, they were running by him. Oakland didn't know what to do. And ever since then, to me, you saw a change. And you don't see a lot of just massive, I'm talking about 360, 370 guys. You don't see many guys like that out there. You see a lot of 310, 320, 305 guys that can really run. I think that's been a little bit of a change.
Yeah, but a lot of, like you said, even in college, we had some players this year from big universities, not small universities making mistakes. We're talking about big universities that would approach their players. We need to gain, X amount of weight in the offseason. We're talking about juniors and seniors just because their offensive style is going to change a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, at that level, you would think that, you would rather have someone that can move around quicker, or actually, instead of telling them to spend more time in the weight room, maybe possibly either watching film or working on their position stuff, and they keep on going back to this weight room stuff, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's surprising. You're right. Yeah, there's just, and the mentality between college and the NFL is so different. It's very, hey, you play better at this weight, weigh this much. Right. In NFL, it's not, hey, you need to get to this weight to play better. You don't ever hear coaches in the NFL saying that.
Well, I'll tell you what, every week here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show, we take a minute to let Eric sit down with one of our guests. We like to call it One-on-One with Eric Winston. He's going to be spending time to start off here in the second quarter with the Christian comedian Bob Smiley. I want you to check out this clip before we get to One-on-One of Bob and his recent adventures in flying.
By the way, I got stopped at the TSA, the metal detectors, because I had toothpaste. I didn't know you can't take toothpaste on a plane, but the guy was pulled open my bag, and he was like, "What is this?" I was like, "That's toothpaste. What are you, from Arkansas?" And he was mad, because he was. It wasn't even terrorist-like toothpaste. That's what got me, right? I'd understand if it was AIM or Scope, but...
Being here at Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. Thanks for taking some time. Now, stand-up comedy, and I'm sure you get this a lot, it seems like, everybody thinks they can do it, right? Yeah, how many people do you have that come up to you and say, I can do that. I want to be a stand-up comic.
I had 8 last night. I was in Bossier City, and I actually had 8 people come up and tell me. So what I always do is always say, well, tell me a little bit, do a little bit or something, and then they do it, and it's a good reminder of why I make a living doing it.
You feel that then you remind you have that good job security where you're at. Now, how does it happen though? How does that start? How does a person go about stand-up comedy? Because you see the guys like Martin Lawrence now, you see Chris Rock. Those are all guys that got their start. Most people in sitcoms, most actors in sitcoms, a lot of people forget that their starts were at stand-up comedy. Jerry Seinfeld. Guys, very successful actors. That was all stand-up comedy that brought about that. How does that happen? How did that happen for you?
Well, I'm the wrong way to do it, but I was going to school in college, and my college had a stand-up competition, and first prize was $500. And I went out to Abilene, and $500 was like 4 months rent out there. And so I was like, I never wanted to be a comic, but I thought that's a good thing. I think I could probably win that. And so I entered this competition, and I won, not because I was good, but because everybody else was just terrible. And I did a couple of jokes about the school and the zoo out in Abilene, and won. And then this guy called me up out of the blue 2 years later, and he was road managing the singer. And the singer said, it'd be cool to have a comedian come out and MC and do some jokes. And the guy just remembered me, tracked me down, and then I just went out on that tour, and then other bands started asking me. So that's how I did it. But you're right, all these great stand-up guys that are now have sitcoms and stuff, they just spent year after year going to open mic nights and trying to get 3 minutes on the stage.
And that's the overwhelming to me, because I love to hear the background of people. I love to hear how it starts. And when you hear it from the guys like Chris Rock, and you see those guys in interviews like whatever, not on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show, but on typical and they get the question, how did it start? They always go back to the grind. Mm-hmm. They always go back, and I'm sure you've experienced it. What's that grind like for you? Is it a lot like I wouldn't say a struggling musician, but a musician that's trying to come up? Is the grind much like that? Is it different? Does it travel more or less? How is the grind for a comedian?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's why you always hear them talk about the grind. Is because same way people always talk about their war stories, because it's the stuff that you had to pay your dues, you had to go through. I mean, I've done 3 a.m. shows for junior high youth groups and stuff like that. Just like psycho setups where people shouldn't be laughing, and so you really learn how to do stand-up and through those really tough spots. And so you just start out and you take every gig you can get, and hopefully it'll get better and better, and you build an audience.
Now, everyone also says that it takes that though to master the craft, to do the craft, and I'm reminded by a book I read one time. It said it takes humans, it takes them 10,000 hours to perfect something.
Yeah.
Does you feel that way? Is it something that came naturally to you? Was it joke telling always something? But it's not just joke telling, is it? It's your approach. It's your whole stick, right?
Yeah,
it's everything,
acting,
right?
Yeah, everything. And I can't remember if this is from the Bible or if Billy Crystal said it, but he said, show me.
Same difference, right? Same difference. Prophets, nevertheless.
Yeah, there's definitely prophets.
Yes.
But I think this quote is right, is where he said, you show me a comedian that hadn't bombed, and I'll show you a comedian that's not good. And you have to go through the process of bombing, because then that's how you find out what people don't like, and that lets you hone your skills to get it to the point where people like what you're doing.
Now, for all the aspiring comedians that are listening in right now, how do you go about preparing for a show, or not even just preparing, but preparing your material? I mean, you sit there, do you sit in front of the mirror? Do you get your kids in front of you and say, okay, tell me what's funny, or laugh when you think something's funny?
You want your allowance.
Yeah. How do you go about setting something like that? How do you go about setting a show up?
I look in the mirror just because it's so pleasing to look at me, obviously. No, what I do now is I'll just go over a couple of ideas in my mind, and then I'll just work it into the show. So I've been doing this for 15 years, so I have a body of work. I could go out and do anything. I've got about 4 hours of material, so I know
that you can pick out
that I can just pick out and choose and stuff. And so, like last night, I did an hour and a half. But what I did was I tried out 2 5-minute bits that I'd never done before, that I just kind of had in my mind, but I always had that safety net if I could jump into another bit that works. So that's how I do it. I just kind of slowly build a new bit, and then just keep ad-libbing on it until it becomes a big solid part.
So it's almost like an iTunes library.
Yeah,
you have
exactly.
You have a certain this one's a 20-minute bit, or this one's a 10-minute story. And to me, the good ones tell stories while they're at it.
Yeah.
And that's the one funny one. I love Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah.
I love listening to Dave Chappelle. I think he's absolutely hilarious. But the funny part about it is, he kind of puts you in the moment with him. He tells that story. He tells it in a way that you believe that you're there with him, and that you can imagine this happening. Even if it's kind of weird, you can still imagine it happening. Is that how you go about it? Are there different ways to kind of go about it?
Yeah, you're exactly right. So when a comic thinks something's funny, he sees the picture in his mind. And so then our job is to go and paint that picture in everybody's mind in the crowd, so that they see why it's funny. And so that's one of the story form comics, like Chappelle's great at that. And I try to do that. Cosby is phenomenal at that. Is you're taking them along on a ride. You're telling them a story, and you want to place them where they actually feel like they're right there beside you experiencing that, and that's where you get the big laughs.
That's awesome. Now tell all the viewers where you can see you next. Where are you going to be at?
I'm actually on tour with a band called Third Day. They've won 2 Grammys and have an amazing following. The fans have been phenomenal. And so we're actually currently touring the country right now in the fall. I'm also doing some shows with another comedian named Tim Hawkins, and we're doing some spot dates whenever we can fill them in when I have some open dates. Okay. Not on the Third Day, and they can find out all those dates on my website, bobsmiley.com, which is your homepage. Just go with me on that, and Facebook with Bob Smiley Comedy.
Now, just for out of curiosity, real quick, last question: how many dates? How many gigs a year do you work?
I do between 90 to 95, but I cut that off because I'm married and I've got 3 kids, so I want to be one of those dads that
are actually there.
That it's actually there, yeah. Like I like to know my kids' names, and I know 2 of them right now, so I'm very proud of myself. But yeah, so I cap it at between 90 and 95 shows a year, so that I'm home over 200 days a year, and I get all my work done on the road. So when I'm home, I'm just home with my kids and my wife, and so that's a good balance.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Thanks for taking some time.
By the way, I got stopped at the TSA, the metal detectors, because I had toothpaste. I didn't know you can't take toothpaste on a plane, but the guy was like, pulled open my bag, and he was like, "What is this?" I was like, "That's toothpaste. What are you, from Arkansas?" And he was mad, because he was. It wasn't even terrorist-like toothpaste. That's what got me, right? Like, I'd understand if it was AIM or Scope, but he woke me up to do his announcements, and I'm kind of glad, because there's 2 announcements I never noticed until I listened to this dude. And they said, we got to change these. One, in the event of a water crash landing, you can use your seat cushion as a flotation device. I'm sorry, but if I'm ever in a really scary crash, the seat cushion I was just sitting on.
All right, we're back here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. Good to hear from Bob Smiley. Find out a little bit more. BobSmiley.com is the website where people can check you out. My kids are big fans, and I think they're bigger fans of you than me.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Are they bigger fans of me than you too?
No, you're just bigger than me.
Okay,
just not
I
a
got
bigger
you.
fan,
All
right? All right, Sean Lee,
Thanks,
and we were just talking about him earlier in the game. Sean Lee with an interception. The Cowboys with great field goal position, but much like when the tables were turned, the Redskins hold them to a field goal, and it's now 6-6. It's a field goal battle.
You got 2 quarterbacks playing really well over the first 2. Well, I say playing. I mean, Romo's put up good now. He got killed for that 4th quarter performance, but his overall body of work's been pretty good so far this season. Grossman's been surprised. They both offenses are putting up, and now we got ourselves a defensive battle. Yeah. And what people forget is that Jim Haslett is running that defense for the Redskins. Jim Haslett's played in the NFL for a long time. He's a feared linebacker for, I think, 8 or 9 years that he played. He was known as a hitter, and he's been a head coach in this league, and he's been a great defensive coordinator at a lot of different places. And a lot of people forget, he was out of football for a year. I think he took a UFL job and then came back to be the DC here at the Redskins. He knows what he's doing. He can coach some defense up. They were pretty good last year on defense. A lot of people forget how much pressure. They had a couple bad games in prime time, and it made it look like their whole season was awful. They've gotten after some teams last year, and they're continued it this year. They got Arakpo, they got Lurangi, they got a lot of guys that can play. And then you got to remember, too, Rob Ryan over there knows how to call himself some defense as well. So obviously they're schemed up. Obviously they're ready to go, and the defense is just controlling this game in a little bit. I mean, the ball's moving, but when it gets down to it and it gets down that red zone, they're stopping the run, they're forcing 3rd and longs, and offenses can't convert.
How much do you think it helped the Redskins as they've gone from last year to this year that they got rid of the Albert Haynesworth distraction? Because it became a big distraction there.
Luckily,
he was laying down on plays. He was taking a nap on the field.
Luckily, I've never been on a team with something like that happen. So it's hard to gauge. I think the media sometimes likes to make a bigger deal out of things than it really is. Oh, he's this huge distraction, and I mean, let's face it, all these guys are adults too, so they can choose to whether pay attention to idiots or not. And I think that doesn't get played up enough. So, I don't know how much it was, but I think it's more of a team. It feels like the Redskins are there for each other. They're playing they're playing together, and I think they look to be more cohesive, and I like that, and they're going to need to, because that NFC East is real tough this year.
Seems like that would be a big weight off the shoulders of all the other players on the team. You know,
Figuratively and literally.
Big weight.
Figuratively and
No
literally.
pun intended.
Yes.
But you know, you think about guys like that, guys like Manny Ramirez, who all they do is draw negative attention to your team.
It does. I will say this: it does get tiresome. It does because you know what? That ends up taking up the conversation. Instead of talking about that win, you're talking about why did Manny not go get that ball down the corner when you're up 2? That could have changed. Yeah, why isn't Hainsworth playing harder? You know, and as if you would know why he did or didn't do that. So it's you're right in that sense. You're able to you're able to celebrate a little bit more of the positives now. I think that the things going on and not always be talking about negative things. I think that can kind of affect your mindset sometimes.
It's kind of the effect you have in the band.
I know.
Right? Manny Ramirez and Howard Hainsworth rolled into one, man.
Now, how many disagreements do you guys get? I mean, I'm sure you guys tour a lot. You guys we'll get into that more, but is it a lot? Are you guys pretty good friends? Is it something that it's always kind of a work in progress?
Yeah,
It's all you try to separate the thing. How does
great
Eddie
for
just
me
feel it?
because I joined these 3 that were already together for however many years they've been together, and they all live together. I mean, they're that's a question for them. For me, I just get the band. I'm like, hey guys, and if they're not talking to each other, I'm like, oh hi, I'm just gonna put on my headphones, watch a little Netflix.
There you go. HBO Go.
Yeah,
There you go.
HBO Go too.
Hey, at halftime, the Black Matches will be performing for us right here in our studio, brought to you by Billiard Factory, billiardfactory.com to build your own man cave. But we're going to have our first musical halftime guest, and they're going to be playing for you at the half, and we'll come back with the second half. We're looking forward to hearing a little bit of the music. Plus, we're going to be running some video clips as the night rolls on as well.
What do you know? LaRon Landry again making the play. Clean hit. Romo threw it a little high, and you got to look and see how far Landry came to make this play. I think he came off the hash. Let's see. You can see from right here. Okay, he starts on middle hash. He already knows where he's going, and boom, he makes a play. Hits him right in the chest.
And that's a clean hit.
Oh, it's a clean hit.
Under the letter of the law.
Yeah, you're right in between the numbers. You're putting your screws right in the numbers.
He did lead with his head a little bit, no?
Yes and no. I mean, you're going to have some sort of that. As long as you're not taking a direct blow to the head with your helmet, I think you're fine. And it's also defenseless receiver. You start getting defenseless when you're starting to call penalties. That's a perfectly legal hit. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you see the momentum of this game, and you're starting to think of it's either going to be a big turnover that turns into a touchdown or a pick six or something, or it's going to be a big special teams play that's going to blow this game open because this game's kind of ground to a halt almost. You got no cohesion on offense. The teams are sputtering. They're maybe getting first downs. They're maybe getting 6 plays in, and then they're punting, or they're turning the ball over, and then they're forcing field goals. And now they're kind of punting back and forth to each other. So you got a feeling that something's going to happen here. One of these quarterbacks is either going to make a mistake. There's going to be a fumble. Something's going to happen, and that's how this game's going to end up going.
Where Tony Romo doesn't look majorly affected by his ribcage injury, but his passes are just a little bit off. He's not as sharp as we used to see him.
You see him wincing, after he gets hit. You see him wincing. You see him tightening up. Have you ever dealt with any guys that have broken ribs?
Actually, we were just had Brian Ching in, play soccer, and we were watching this at during one of the sessions today, and he immediately turned and goes, "There's no way this guy is not on major painkillers." And Brian Ching's been beat up, and he still is beat up everywhere. And he's had every injury. He says the one that hurt him the most was the ribs. He says that's the most painful injury. And here's a guy that doesn't have to wear pads and he's getting a little rough, but he's not going to get hit like Romo. And he just kept on over and over talking about how painful it was. And I was kind of surprised, especially a guy that's had that many injuries. But,
we had a guy. I've played with one guy that broke his ribs, and for 3 or 4 weeks after that, there was a rule that you couldn't say anything funny around him to make him laugh because it hurt that bad.
I believe it.
Because
no laughing allowed.
Just like don't. And they didn't let him play because he finished the game with a broken rib. He could barely breathe in the huddle. He was, I thought, I was like, oh my God, can we get this? I'm a rookie. I'm like, can we get someone? This guy's going to die on the field. And it was one of the toughest, just guttiest performances I'd seen. But that was bad enough, and that's a big crossing pattern right there. Good strike there by Grossman. But, he got it done, but they wouldn't let him play after that because the broken rib was so close to his lung that they were just like, hey, you can't go, and we're not going to let you back out there. I was surprised to hear, in the sense, that Romo was let back out there. If it was that close, if he had a punctured lung,
Aren't we
they
supposed to
let
be
the back-
focusing on player safety?
You know,
more? I mean,
and that's
he's risking
and that's
serious
and
injury.
that is the big crux of this whole argument between the players and the owners and really the NFL is it lip service or what are we talking about here? What
I mean, he's being
are we
hailed
doing?
as a hero.
Are we doing certain things to limit your liability in future law cases and to kind of in a backwards way start hitting guys in some pockets? Or are we really talking about player safety? Because if we're really talking about player safety, why are decisions to go back on the field made by team employees?
Right.
Why? I mean, in these critical cases.
Well, that was Romo though who decided to come back, right?
And what I'm
the
saying
Cowboys-
too is
Niners game.
players have to be protected from themselves.
Correct. I mean, ultimately, he's going to, you know,
You're
players
not
push
going to ever
himself, yeah.
because if you say, you know what, I'm not going, that's a death sentence pretty much for
Correct.
your career. That's the end of your career.
Yeah.
It is. It's the end. I mean, it is. It's sad, but in an alarming way, and it's shocking too because think about the difference between hockey and football. Hockey is a very violent sport. You have, but look at their biggest player. They're arguably their biggest player since Wayne Gretzky. Sidney Crosby's been out now, what, 8 months with a concussion?
Right.
And I mean, think about if he was a quarterback in the NFL, how much stuff he would be getting.
Oh, you wouldn't be
Exactly.
You'd be looked at as a guy who doesn't want to play the game.
But you know what? I know plenty of hockey players, and all of them are like, yeah, man, it's serious. You know, he's got to be careful. And none of them talk about his guts, or none of them talk about his manhood. None of them. They're all saying, hey, this guy's doing the right thing. This guy's doing the right thing. He needs to make sure that he's okay. Yeah. That's the point where we got to get to as players, you know, and that's when a guy says, you know what, I can't go. That we're not like, oh, this guy won't give it. Or man, he must be hurt. You know, we need to rally around someone else now. You know.
Another question from the Twitter feed brought to you by our friends at Verizon. This from Ted720. With both teams under 100 yards of offense, have we decided to settle this game with a field goal contest, sort of like penalty kicks in a World Cup soccer game? Is that what we're getting down to?
Like I said, you know,
Oh, a
it could be.
shootout in hockey, right?
Cowboys odds in that.
They got two kickers.
Well, they have the most. Yeah, they have the best depth there at the kicker position.
Running contest.
Yeah.
I think we might win that one.
They're gonna try to see if Graham Gano can pull his groin before the end of the game by kicking so many field goals.
The Twitter feed, if you want to send your questions in for Eric or any of our guests here, is at Thebus TV. That's at THEBUS TV. Thebus TV. Send in your questions as the game rolls on. We'll get to more of your questions off the Twitter feed brought to you by our friends at Verizon. Redskins in good shape for another field goal, right? We're seeing Roy Halou a little bit now, the fourth-round pick out of Nebraska. Not a big guy, but a guy that has electric speed.
Yeah, he can go, and a lot of people don't kind of realize about him or just don't know it about him that he can, when he gets to that corner, he can almost outrun everybody. He was at Nebraska. He broke a lot of big runs at Nebraska, and he's continued to do it. He broke a couple big runs in the regular season, in the preseason here. And
what do you think about the job Trent Williams is doing on DeMarcus Ware?
You know, he's a young guy. He's very athletic. I think he's going to get nothing but better, and I've watched him in film. His technique's getting so much better. And
he just got beat.
You know what? I can't blame him getting beat there. You don't see DeMarcus Ware do a spin very often.
Yeah.
There's not many spins very often that you see DeMarcus Ware, and so you're not ready for that. That was a great move by him. I give him a lot more credit. That's a good set by Trent Williams. He's punching.
That's trying to tackle him.
That's just a move you don't. That's just a move you don't see very often from DeMarcus Ware. I tip my cap to him on that one.
Trent Williams he's a large man. I watched him play college, saw him probably live maybe 5 or 6 times.
He's a heck of an athlete. He's a guy that can move. He's a big guy. You know what? I see him improving all the time. He's doing good. He's getting
That's
blocked.
Yeah.
There's your one big play, bro.
Yeah.
well.
Wow. Was that a botch snap, or did the holder, did it just go through his hands? I'm not sure the snap was that bad. It looked to me like...
Botched hold, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah. Was that Romo holding?
A Romo is,
Yeah. He pulled the Romo.
yeah.
I can't believe he still gets stuff for that.
Oh, it was a little... No, it wasn't.
High snap.
Yeah, he dropped it.
Not
High
terribly
snap.
high, though.
You can't believe Romo still gets stuff for dropping that snap in Seattle?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Cowboys hadn't won a playoff game in 12 years at that point.
You sound like one of them.
Dude, it was
Mediocre fan, are you?
I'm not that big of a fan. I don't like him. Every big play is me. He's over here like.
But of course, you remember 12 years ago. Yeah.
I remember exactly where I was when that went down too. I was in Edmond, Oklahoma, playing a show at some bar I can't remember the name of, and like everybody.
How old are you right now?
I'm 25.
That happened like
That was
7 years ago.
No, it's like 5
It
years.
was like 5 years ago.
Was it?
I've been doing this for 6 years.
Have you?
Yeah, long time.
So everybody's watching the game, or are they
Yeah,
watching
watching
you?
the game.
Okay.
And I'm halfway through a song, and everybody goes, "Oh!"
He was watching the game too.
Yeah, he's playing. He's over here like, wow, that's a good pass.
Yeah. Those are the best bars that have a TV facing the stage.
Absolutely.
I played a club one time, and they had a projector, and they were playing Mission Impossible, but they had the sound down. But they just kept playing the movie while I was up there doing the gig, and so everybody was listening
Everybody's
to me.
looking at you, but they're like really looking past
But
you.
yeah, they were just watching. Deal, but going, yeah, that was good. That's funny.
Any time do you ever like have to tell like, listen, turn that off? Why?
There's a place I play quite a bit when I'm playing my solo acoustic deals in Grapevine, and during the winter they have a stage inside. It was an old Trail Dust, but they have they separated the bar area, and they have a stage they built inside, and right behind your head is a TV. And so like the first time I played, I was like, why are these people looking at me weird? What are these people? And I turned around, I was like, oh, and just hit power on the TV. It's a little rude, I guess, if it's right behind you. I like it behind the audience so I can watch, and they get the show. Yeah.
They get the best of both worlds. You get to watch, you get to do your own thing, and they get to see you. So at some point, Bob, do you end up telling them, like, turn the movie off while I do this? Or?
That one I was. They brought me in because I do clean comedy, and so there were other comics that were working real dirty, and so I kind of wanted to just stick with it and do it, because they were like, how do you do clean comedy? So I wanted to kind of show them. So I didn't want to then turn around and be the jerk and like, hey, can you turn that off? And so I just went ahead and did it. And
do you see now more comedians are going clean, or is it still always the same percentage? Or
it's still
by clean, you just mean no cussing.
Yeah,
no
really cussing.
Like,
I mean,
topics.
Stuff you could actually like take your kids to. Like
Right.
you could actually I get a lot of families coming to my shows, and so yeah, it's I don't think we're seeing a lot of in the clubs. I do a lot of churches. I play a ton of churches, and so there's a lot more clean comics or Christian comics showing up at churches and stuff. But I think clubs are still as filthy as they've ever been.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of comes with the territory, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
Pick your poison.
But
they're
there's-
not built for families.
Yeah,
Right.
But there's guys. I mean, like Seinfeld talks about it. Like he thinks that if you have to use profanity to get a laugh, then it's not a really good joke anyway.
Yeah.
So there are some guys out there that are very
Sure.
successful in clubs.
Seinfeld's never been a.
Yeah.
He probably talks about maybe some topics that probably are maybe a little bit more PG-13, but
Yeah,
I've seen him do stand-up. He never cusses or anything
It's
in it.
mostly really
Yeah.
clean. Well, like Brian Regan, I mean, is selling out huge theaters and stuff, and I mean he played clubs forever, and he's always been totally clean, and so there are some exceptions, but for the most part, a lot of people go for the easy laugh kind of deal.
Tell that to Don Rickles. Tell him.
Yeah.
That whole profanity thing. That's not going to work.
Yeah, so I didn't tell that guy to turn the screen off because I didn't want to be the jerk.
Maybe if you'd have dropped an F-bomb or two.
Yeah, but every once in a while, I mean, I'm sure you guys do this. You get to the shows early for that reason. You want to look around and see, okay, what do you have to deal with? What do you need to control? I played a race track one time, and they had the crowd on the in the stands, and so it was about 150 yards from the stage. And so with comedy, you want it to be close. So I literally could see people laughing, but you couldn't hear them. So like that, and you just like. So I had them move me up, and stuff like that. So you learn to kind of control around it.
Did Tony Romo just hit Jason Witten in the head?
I was wondering how he made the ball boomerang back like that. I was like, God, this guy is special. He can do all kinds of things with a football.
One of the
I hope
linemen.
to show the replay of the false. I think he hit the lineman that made the false start in the head. Is that who he hit, or did he hit Witten?
It was, I think,
82
I'm not sure who it was.
63.
When a guy gets a penalty called on him on the line,
Worst
what are the
feeling
rest of
in
the guys thinking?
Worst feeling in the world. I mean, no one's just. You don't get back to the huddle and everyone's
It was
staring
on
at
too.
But it just happened. It's happened to everyone. Sometimes it's things you get out of your hands, and sometimes it's not. But it's always a very lonesome feeling when they say your number.
Yeah.
And the referee says your number in the middle of everybody. You're like,
how many of us at work, those of us who
yeah, good thing I changed my number this week.
You don't get back
how
to the
many
hole.
people
And they're like,
at their jobs, you screw up, you send a fax to the wrong number, you get your number called out over the PA, number 73 with the inadvertent fax.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that actually. How much trash talking, if any, goes on inside the huddle? I mean, is there a lot of talk?
Between each other?
Yeah.
On the same team?
Yeah, is there a lot of
much. We try not to get in fights with each other
Yeah.
during the game. We're trying to save that energy for the other team.
Yeah.
Are there defensive linemen that are talking trash though?
Sometimes, very odd. The big guys don't talk that much trash because we're usually so gassed that that you don't have that wind for it. But the DBs, the receivers, those guys that are probably a little bit more in shape. that,
So it's not
have a little
about
bit
being
more
polite. It's
have a
about
little
not
more
being
endurance. Yeah, they're. I think they're sometimes more.
But they like to talk. I mean,
Talk,
part of that
yeah,
is the
that's their
bravado
shtick,
of
yeah.
playing that position, right?
Yeah, D'Angelo Hall never found anybody he doesn't like to talk to out there.
Looks like it's 4th and 3, close range, but this is a chance to go ahead. We're going to see another field goal here,
Definitely
right?
need to get that 9-6
It's
lead.
yeah. The Cowboys will be up if they hit this one, up 3-2 on field goals.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, when the Redskins threw into the end zone, I was like, what are they doing? And I was like, oh, sometimes you go for a touchdown. I just forgotten.
Surprised they didn't just take a knee at the one.
We're going to go ahead and settle for this field goal. We don't
Bring out
want
good
to
let's do
fall
this.
behind too far in this field goal competition.
It's a great
There you
idea
go.
for a job.
And they're up 3-2 on penalty kicks. The Cowboys ahead. Let's bring in our own Katie, the referee girl, again with another question from the crowd. This time, instead of NFL, we're going to go to college-related question. Katie, bring your own chair with you. I like that.
Yeah. How
Bob, do you
like
notice
that?
how she sits in front of you
Yeah,
so
I
no
know,
one can see you?
Come on, let's don't deny the fans.
No, what the fans are wanting to know is the whole story about this week with was it LSU beating Oklahoma?
Well, they
Well,
went to
they
number
went
one in the AP
over
poll.
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Okay.
LSU beat
Close.
West
They
Virginia.
went over
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
right.
Nonetheless, I feel like I had to give him a glare. I hear you're a bit of an Oklahoma fan.
We're Masterville, you fans.
Yeah.
But it's nice. It doesn't bother me at all.
It
LSU
bothers everybody
any,
else, though.
Any team from the SEC is obviously that's every media darling's pick to win the national title. So
I like how you got the eye twitch when you said it doesn't bother me at all. Just kinda-
Actually,
I feel like
not a
the
real
left
fan.
eye blind, like
Yeah.
look to the left, eye twitch.
I think right now LSU would beat Oklahoma in a head-to-head matchup.
You think
We're-
so?
yeah,
Neutral
we're-
site?
For sure.
You think so?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think that Oklahoma's got a little bit.
I think
a little bit
Oklahoma-
of a learning curve on offense that they're still trying to get over. There's no Kevin Wilson. It's Josh Heupel. It's brand new. The running game looks massively improved from last year.
Is Heupel calling all the plays, or I
Yeah.
thought he was the co-coordinator?
He is, but he's calling.
He's calling the plays,
yeah.
so he's a
But
coordinator.
LSU, the weird thing here was Oklahoma won in fairly convincing fashion. They gave up a lot of points, but they beat Missouri. LSU wins in what was a close game up until they put it away in the fourth quarter. But usually the number one team, if they win, they don't lose their number one spot.
True. I think LSU's been impressive. I think Alabama's been impressive. You could argue Alabama was more impressive this weekend than LSU.
Their offense, though, just not as impressive for me.
See, I think they're both very lackluster. That's why I was surprised when you said that. I would actually take Oklahoma probably on a neutral site against either of those teams right now, because to me in college football, just like pro football, but even more so, if you have a stud QB, that's worth everything. And I think Landry Jones is a great quarterback, knows how to run that system. I was impressed what I saw against Florida State. When Oklahoma went to Florida State, they were willing to – you haven't seen an Oklahoma team in a while slug it out with somebody.
No.
You haven't seen some play a defensive game, slug it out for a while with them, win an ugly game. And I was impressed by that because you've seen so many shootouts by Oklahoma, the 52 to 48s, there's so much of that, and they were willing to play defense. And that I think this is maybe their best defensive team they've had in
2000.
Yeah, 5, 6,
sure.
7 years. I mean, since I can remember it, yeah, they've got a very impressive team, and I think you have two very average quarterbacks in Alabama's quarterback and LSU's quarterback. If they can't score more than 17, 21 points on Oklahoma,
But
you got to think Oklahoma can put up some
But
points. on those guys.
LSU's defense, I mean, this is a team, maybe they don't have the star quarterback, they clearly don't, But their defense keeps them in every game where you don't have to score more than 21 points.
You're right, but like they found against West Virginia, you're going to go against some teams now with some speed, and that every game now is an extra film that those coordinators are going to be looking at.
Right.
So now you saw West Virginia start spreading them out a little bit and got them exposed on some crossing routes. Alabama still hasn't been quite exposed with much, but you're gonna see some of that now, especially as they turn into league play. They know the O coordinators know the D coordinators and what their histories. Right now, neutral side, I still think Oklahoma might be the best team in the country. But you're right, the SEC does get a lot because it is the most competitive league right now.
But I think if Oklahoma's able to run the ball against any of those teams, just even if it's 2-3 yards a shot, 3 and out 4 times in a row, if they're able to move the ball at all on the ground, they have a much better chance of beating them.
Do you have to win, not just win your games, but win convincingly? Because LSU's convincing win over West Virginia was bigger than OU's win over Missouri.
If you're in the SEC, all you have to do is worry about winning.
Florida State losing didn't help Oklahoma at all, you know.
Yeah.
But Clemson, you can't sleep on them.
Well, and you got to remember Manuel's out.
Right.
I mean, that's a different team, I think, with Manuel.
Nobody seemed to talk about that either. So.
But he's not. But he's not upset about it. He's not mad about it at all.
You got anything to?
I think I would just say I'm more of an LSU fan because I've had way more fun in Louisiana than I have Oklahoma. Like, you can't deny that. But
yeah, okay, we get that.
That's where my professional opinion.
Have you been to Edmonton? There's a good bar there.
Well, our 7 national championships speak for themselves.
But so why are they so scared to play Texas State University? They will not schedule a matchup.
They probably can't afford them.
Hey, as we get close to halftime, now's a perfect time to check out the Billiard Factory's website, billiardfactory.com. They outfitted our room here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. In less time than it takes for the Redskins to make their adjustments at halftime, you can build your very own man cave, just like we have here. It's at billiardfactory.com. Don't wait. Check out their website at halftime while you're watching the Black Matches perform. We're just minutes away from the Black Matches performance here on our studio.
I actually realized that's where we got our stools. I didn't know that, and my wife texted me, and I was like, yeah, they're great. Yeah,
we're gonna stop by there sometime.
Yeah,
it's actually a really cool store. If you got,
I thought you meant my house. I was like, oh, we got to clean.
No, if you got like a kind of a man area or like a pool area, pool table area, or just like this
man area. That's the bathroom in my house.
True. But if you have some kind of, you're looking for the little knickknacks, those things that you never really find anywhere else. The Billiard Factory actually has it. I've been there before. It's actually a pretty good place.
So the Redskins trying to get in the field goal range so they can tie this game up at the half.
Bob, this even has a drawer on it.
Oh, really? Oh, we got gyps.
No way.
Whoa. We didn't get a drawer.
Yeah.
Mine.
It's the whole 9, man.
There's something in there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Those aren't for you guys.
It's our gift bag.
That's your thing.
Get one of those.
Yes, we had them made specially in China.
Yes.
I don't think you
What are
got
those coasters?
gyps, Bob. I think you didn't spring for the deluxe chair.
Yeah, I didn't, unless that cigarette butt is mine in there that you're going to give me. I didn't get anything.
Minute left here. Redskins are trying to do something with it. This to me is where you could make a bad mistake.
Yeah.
Who was he looking for? Was that DeMarcus Ware? He thought it was
this
Jason
is something that I cannot stand. If you're a Redskins player and your quarterback is running out of bounds, don't get out of the way. Yeah. Hold him, grab him, make sure that he doesn't run clean into the bench. Watch every Redskin player now. Watch him get out of the way. Oh, let me get out of the way here. The guy just watching the quarterback. Let me let our quarterback run clear into this metal bench and see if it hurts. Now, if your other team's running in there, yeah, you just get out of the way and see if he can make it.
And that's the point where Grossman should look up at that huge screen and see who's chasing him.
Maybe it was the backup quarterback that got out of the way. Maybe he wants to play.
Great throw.
All right.
One of the toughest throws in football right there.
2 more points for your fantasy team,
One of the toughest throws in
PPR,
football right there is
the corner
far hash to across the field, 15-yard out. I mean, look how far. I bet he throws this ball 50 yards.
Yeah, Rex Grossman is
it's
always
30 yards. It's 30
arm.
yards probably from hash to there, and then you're factoring in I know you got to do a little Pythagorean theorem there.
Yeah.
I think with the
Is
quorum.
this geometry again?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
exactly.
man.
Carry the seven. Yeah, it was.
Who's the astronaut when you need him, right?
There you go. He could probably do it in his head.
Rex Grosso's always had a strong arm. Is his decision making better in the Redskins?
I think so.
And
Like I
his-
said, he's
his
willing
offense?
to. He's willing not to always push the ball downfield. He's willing to make the smart decision. Check it down.
Like that. He didn't try to force the throw, and he scrambled and got out of bounds.
And they're in the hurry-up offense. Oh, they're in field goal range. Why don't they just bring out Gano?
Yeah, might as well get.
He's going to take a knee here and just make sure.
Oh, now this.
You cannot do that.
Yeah, this is.
You cannot
The
do
part
that.
of the
No
field-
timeouts left. Those second down. They're going to
So
have to
you-
spike the ball here. Spike it. You're going to have to spike it.
This is the part of the field where you can't afford a sack, right? That just moved it from being a 45-yard field goal to being a
What
50.
are you doing? Yeah.
And time running off the clock.
Yeah, so that's a bad mistake right there. As soon as he didn't have his first guy, he went to his second guy. At that point, you pull it down and you throw it away. You throw it in the second row because you don't. Now you move that ball back 5-6 yards, and in that, it's one thing if you're on the 10 and you get sacked for a 5-yard sack. That's on the 15, but if you're on the 25 and you get sacked on the 31, that's a big difference in field goals here.
And Victor Butler unblocked there. I know you guys, as offensive linemen, somebody's supposed to pick him up.
Yeah, I'd
right?
have to watch it again. Sometimes they're bringing more than you can handle. You try to get a hand on everybody, but
Well, Gano's got a
all right.
cannon for a leg.
The second half, I think we should put up a stat that just has what the stats are for field goals.
Yeah.
So, we'll have Redskins 3,
Cowboys 3.
Cowboys 3,
Absolutely.
and we'll just keep track of the field goals. I think as this game goes
I like
on.
it.
No, the
What do you
field-
think? We got to look up to see. We might be chasing an all-time record here.
number of field goals
I
in
mean,
a
think
game?
about if it was 12-9 right now too.
We gotta-
That'd be 4-3. I mean, you got to think most field goals in a game. What 7? Or no, I mean what 10?
Rob Baronis for the Titans hit
kicked
7
6.
field goals against
6
the
against
Texans,
us, right? Is it 6?
6 or 7. We'll get our crack research staff on it. Hey, it's
Can't be more than
halftime
10.
here.
Can't be more than 10.
We're going to pick it back up in the second half, but right now we're going to clear off the stage and bring in the Black Matches to perform here on our halftime show on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show.
We better get ready.
The good Lord willing and the moon don't rise. You won't lose that look in your eyes, 'cause it might mean love. Well, I've been staring at you across the room like I know I'm not supposed to do. I just can't get enough. Out here in orbit, well, it's colder all the time. Try to absorb it when you begin to fill the blinds. I just want a sunburn away. I just want to learn how to warm my weary heart and come alive. 'Cause you're on fire, baby. You're contraband. Your mercury spilling out here. You break a July, drown out in the desert sand. You're a southern summer night. You're burning in my lungs. If I'm a satellite, you are the sun. Fell in love on Sunday, but I don't remember when. You were hiding eggs and I was trying to hide my sin. You were a sunbeam and I never dream of anything else again. Out here in orbit, well, it's colder all the time, and I can't ignore it the way you prey upon my mind. Southern belle in a broomstick skirt, give me sunstroke, you make it hurt. You make it shine, 'cause you're on fire, baby. You're contraband. Your mercury spilling out here. You break a July, drown out in the desert said, you're a southern summer night. You're the burning in my lungs. If I'm a satellite, you are the sun. So shine down, baby. Shine. I wanna feel you on my skin. Save my soul, it's cold like home. Keeps trying to pull me in. 'Cause you're on fire, baby. Your contraband. Your mercury spilling out. You break a July drown out in the desert sand. You're a southern summer night. You're the burning in my lungs. If I'm a satellite, you are love. If I'm a satellite, you are love. You are. All right.
All right.
Do a song called Little Girls next.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Why's all these little girls picking on me? Well, I just keep on wondering what the hell they see. All I wanna do is sing my song in the street. Tell me why's all these little girls picking on me?
Well, I hear a voice singing at midnight, sing a little love song, oh, a little Romeo. It's been serenading since the sun went down, dang near covered half the town. He's spreading his sweet love all around. It's a hard road to hoe.
I try and try to hear the words of his soul, but to my surprise, I was laughing too hard to sing low. I'm singing, why's all these little girls are picking on me? Well, I just keep on wondering what the hell they see. All I wanna do is sing my song in the streets. Tell me why's all these little girls are picking on me?
Well, sweet Susie Blue Jean, she popped up in a window. She said, hey, lover boy, don't you tell me that you gotta go. Now sneak up here, I'm sure my daddy won't mind if I give you something sweet. He says, oh no, Susie, I got this schedule to keep.
Try and try to hear the words of his song, but to my surprise, I was laughing too hard to sing low. He was singing, why's all these little girls are picking on me? Well, I just keep on wondering what the hell they see. All I wanna do is sing my song in the street. Tell me why's all these little girls are picking on me? Why's all these little girls are picking on me? Well, I just keep on wondering what the hell they see. All I wanna do is sing my song in the streets. Tell me why's all these little girls are picking on me? Tell me why's all these little girls are picking on me? Well, I just keep on wondering what the hell they see. All I wanna do is sing my song in the street. Tell me why's all these little girls are picking on me? Tell me why's all these little girls are picking on me? Thank you, thank you.
Play a Joe Ely song called All Just to Get to You.
Tuning up.
Let's do this.
I have stumbled on the plains, staggered in the wind, stood at a crossroad or two, cried to a river, swept to the sea, all just to get to you. I flagged a yellow cab, I hopped a rusty freight, sang till my lips turned blue, flown a silver bird on the tops of the clouds, all just to get to you. I ran too hard, I played too rough, I gave my love not near enough. I bled too red, I cried too blue, I beat my fist against the moon, all just to get to you. I have run from St. Paul to Wichita Falls, called you from sunny Baton Rouge. I hocked everything from my watch to my ring, all just to get to you. I ran too hard, I played too rough, I gave my love not near enough. I bled too red, I cried too blue, I beat my fist against the moon, all just to get to you. California shore, the mighty ocean rose to the land of the Hopi and the Sioux. Walked the desert sands, crossed the Rio Grande, all just to get to you. I have stumbled on the plains, staggered in the wind, stood at a crossroad or two, cried to a river, swept to the sea, all just to get to you. I ran too hard, I played too rough, I gave my love not near enough. I bled too red, I cried too blue, I beat my fist against the moon, all just to get to you. All just to get to you. All right. Scene.
The Black Matches here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. Great performance, guys, and I like how you clear the equipment out so quickly before you sit down.
The most impressive thing I think about the people don't know about Not Your Ordinary Sports Show is the behind-the-scenes crew. How they're able. I mean, even see the background.
It's
completely
massive, yeah.
I mean, there's a crew working back there. I mean, just to have that 30-second switch in and out of that.
I've done other shows and they don't have like a shoe shine person, and I mean that's amazing. You guys have thought of everything.
They have a 45-person road crew working this deal to get us cleared off.
That's right. It's like a NASCAR pit crew, except we moved the equipment. It was great.
Hey, the groupies aren't even getting in. This is unbelievable.
I know.
This is good.
We run a top-notch organization here.
Security's very tight.
If you're just joining us, welcome to Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. I'm Robert Henslee. Eric Winston's here with me every week. We are joined this week by our special guests, the Black Matches. We have Bobby Duncan and Andy Bartleson from the group sitting in with us on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. We've got Bob Smiley, and we have Danny Arnold from PLEX. He trains some of the world's best athletes right here in the Houston area. We're going to be taking your Twitter questions in the second half, in between the field goals. You can tweet us your questions at Thebus TV. That's at the Bus TV. Send in your questions for Eric or any of our guests, and we'll get to them as the show rolls along. As we get going here in the second half, Tony Romo stripped of the ball, but it bounces right back into his hands.
You know, J.J. Watt's gotten a lot of much-deserved praise
Your
across the
teammate,
league,
rookie on
across
the
the league, and by fans in Houston. But Kerrigan, and, Ryan Kerrigan, and Washington, another first-round pick. I think he was, gosh, I don't know. He was right around there, 12, 13, something like that. Much deserved as well. He's been playing real well. Played well in the preseason. Starts for him. He's been doing it all. A little smaller than JJ, not quite as big, but explosive. Can play a little bit more outside, where I would say JJ's probably still more of an inside player. Just had a strip right there of Romo, led to a sack. Like I said, good player.
Romo doesn't have a lot of passing yards in this game, but he hasn't been hit much either. I mean, he's gotten a few bumps, but he hasn't been sacked. He hasn't been, they haven't had a chance. I don't think, to knock him back out.
17 dropbacks, 1 hurries. 2 knockdowns, I think 1 sack. So that's not too bad. 17, you'd like to see it a little cleaner, but not too bad. But like I said, they're 3rd and 9 again, so they have to pass here. And they're just not, if they can't run the ball better, they can't do better on 1st and 2nd down. It could be a long half for them. That's a great play right there.
Des Bryant.
There you go, Des Bryant showing up again. You give Romo, a lot of these quarterbacks now, you give them enough time, but this whole league is, I really believe you got to base your defense around being able to pressure the quarterback with 4 guys, and you got to be able to base your team around a quarterback and an offensive line that can keep them from being pressured.
So many teams, though, and the Redskins included, are blitzing somebody on each down. I mean, there's 1 extra guy coming.
Well, that's different. If you're blitzing, that means you're taking a little bit more of a gamble on a one-on-one where you could get beat for a big play. I think when you that's close to a lateral.
Yeah.
I think when you're only bringing 4 guys, a lot of the Colts, a lot of times, like what we've been doing for most part. I don't know how successful we were this past game. I know our defensive line would have liked to get a little bit more pressure on Breeze at some points in the game, but we've been doing a real good job of it over the course of the season so far. When you can do that, you can drop 7 in the coverage. It's hard to get beat by a big play if you can consistently get the quarterback to throw on time with 4 guys rushing. It just makes a world of difference. You're much harder to score touchdowns on. You're much harder to do things like that on.
Well, the Cowboys, neither team has been able to put together any sustained drives and finish them off with touchdowns. But having Romo out there and Des Bryant, we've seen with a couple of catches. Maybe he's not 100%, but he's playing. Felix Jones, a guy who separated a shoulder last week. They have been able to move the ball, if not score touchdowns. I still feel like Romo is afraid to cut it loose because of the ribs, though.
I don't know what it is. The Reds, like I said, I'm going to give more credit to the Redskins' defense. I think they're playing well. I think they're disguising some coverages, and without Miles Austin, I think it makes a difference. Jason Witten, I tell you what, there's a lot of talk. There's so much talk about Dallas Clark. There's so much talk about, Tony Gonzalez, guys around the league. Sometimes I feel like Witten doesn't get his due. I mean, he's guy's 6'5", 6'6", 265 pounds. He's a bigger tight end, but he still gets up to seam well. He catches the ball extremely well. And what people don't, I think, respect about his game, that they should is how good of a blocker he is. He's a very good blocker. He's always been. He's a good blocker at Tennessee. He's an impressive player.
Is he the best tight end in football, or Antonio Gates when healthy? Is he better? Jermichael Finley.
Jermichael Finley is, I think, he's going to be a guy that's going to be real special, especially in that offense, being able to do so many different things. 6'6", just can run like a receiver. He's impressive. You look at his numbers here too. I mean, it's very comparable to, in over a 4-year span. Those are the great tight ends of all time, and you see what he's done the last 4 years. It's impressive.
How much does it help that he's buddies with Tony Romo?
I'm sure it helps a lot. They work a lot together. They know where you're going to be. I mean, just riding around or hanging out on the plane, and Tony looking at some of the defenses or looking at something, and he said, hey, you know what? If we get this coverage, make sure you look fast. Those little things add up to a catch or two a game, and you're looking at now that's 24 extra catches maybe over the course of a season. That's a 1.5 catch. Even if it adds to 1.5 catches per game that you're adding onto your total. 24 extra catches for a tight end. That's a difference between having 50 catches and 74 catches and going to the Pro Bowl. I mean, that's a huge difference.
Well, he's basically the third receiver on the Cowboys,
sure.
behind Bryant and Austin.
Well, he's a lot like, we use Owen Daniels as well. Yeah. I mean, Owen Daniels, you can consider him kind of the third receiver.
Might even be the second receiver.
Second receiver. Really? I mean, he's a very accomplished guy that just knows how to run routes, knows how to get open. You've seen it. He's caught 2 touchdowns the last 2 games. Orakpo's tough. Orakpo's a tough matchup because he's so much quicker and faster for big left tackles, and he's too strong for backs and tight ends. So it's a tough out.
Oops.
See, I wouldn't have run that play right then.
And he's still completed.
He still managed to.
2-yard gain.
Are you kidding me? I thought he was just throwing the ball away when he picked it up.
Those are the little plays I think good quarterbacks make. Like good quarterbacks make. He did this. This center did this in the Jets game too, if you remember, late in the Jets game.
Yeah.
Right
Snapped it when he wasn't ready for it.
On the very last play. Yeah. But see, most quarterbacks I think would have fallen on it right there.
Well, what do you think?
He decided he's an athlete. He picks it up and he knows that he's out of the pocket. And he can, as long as he can get back to the line of scrimmage, he can throw it. Yeah. That's a huge play in the game now. Now you're still 3rd and 18 because of a penalty, but now you're not 3rd and 40. Yeah. And now even though you're probably going to punt, maybe let's say they get a 5-yard gain, they punt from midfield. That's a big difference than punting from.
And the
30.
next snap goes to his
ankle. Look at this.
There you go.
Well, that's probably.
That was another bad snap. I mean, it was a worse snap than the last one, but it may have come at the right time, but it was down around his ankles. And Romo clearly frustrated with the offense, with the penalties, with the bad snaps.
Oh, wow.
Man, that's low.
And Orakpo coming in untouched. That's the biggest shot Romo's had this game. And he's going to be able to get up, but costly turnover, although that essentially was the same as a bad punt.
Yeah, that's a bad punt from right there.
There's 3rd and long. They're going to get the ball.
It's a 30-yardish punt right there, but still, you'd like a chance to maybe pin him back, get him on 10-yard line, 8-yard line. But.
Tell me something on when you're in the shotgun, as the center and the quarterback, if the center can't hear the quarterback, how do they know when to snap it?
Teams do it different ways. I'm not going to reveal how we do it because it's
so
hard to figure it out, I'm sure, if you really watch us play.
I see quarterbacks lift their leg and then they lift it again.
Well, they lift the leg. In college, you see the hand go down much more. The pros don't do that as much, but basically the head's down for the center, and he goes like that, and he lifts it up, and he goes. Teams do it a lot of different ways. I've seen guards, the left guard, because that allows the left guard to look through, because what happens is defenses will wait till the head goes down for the center. Once the head goes down, then they'll make adjustments. Well, sometimes then your calls change. So they wait for that. So to combat that, offensive line coaches said, okay, hey, let's keep the center's head up. We'll keep the left guards down, and they'll just tap him when he's ready to go. Some teams do that. It depends, I think, how you like to do it. Everyone has their own way. If you execute it the right way, everyone's right. If you don't, if you don't execute it the right way, some teams, when they move their head up, they go. Some teams have a different rhythm. You can do it a lot of different ways. I think the biggest thing is everyone just has to be on the same page. When you're on the same page, you give yourself a chance. And I felt like we did a pretty good job of that at New Orleans.
Yeah, that place was loud.
It was
that's
loud.
Gotta be one of the
we had
loudest.
a false start at the very first play of the game, and after that, we were pretty clean. It felt like we weren't laid off the ball many plays after watching the film. And obviously we didn't get it done, but from that standpoint, I thought we handled it pretty well. Some calls were missed, but that's going to happen. You just got to go play ball, especially not another place.
I just wonder, it seems like it's so much harder in football to disguise those kind of signals as opposed to baseball where you have a third base coach giving a variety of signs.
Well, I would think
defenses could read it and figure it out.
They do. If you watch enough film, you can figure it out. On the road, you pretty much just want to give yourself a chance to come off on the snap as fast as the defense does. At home, you're always looking for that split-second advantage because you know what the snap count is, and they don't. So you're always looking, okay, hey, I can get off a split second before them. On the road, you're hoping, all right, we're going to get off at the same time. That's all you can really hope for. Great block by the running back. I think that's Hightower that's in. You're going to watch this. I'm sure they're going to replay it. This is, if you're a running back or you're a kid watching at home, to take a old bad cliche from every announcer that does games.
Kids, this is how to do it.
This is how you block
All you young running
blitzing
backs out
guys.
there.
Watch.
They're bringing the house. There's 7 guys rushing here.
And this is how you hit them. Boom.
Oh, yeah.
That's how you
Who's
keep the
hitting who
quarterback.
there?
And the great running backs, you'll watch the great running backs, Clinton Portis, Willis McGahee's, Frank Gore's. I'm naming every guy from Miami.
The Miami guys.
Because the Miami guys are the best pass blockers, because at Miami you can't get on the field unless you're a good pass blocker. The running backs coach there just wouldn't let you on there unless you knew how to pick up a blitz. They go looking for the linebackers. They're willing to go hit them instead of getting hit. They're willing to go
delivering
hit. That's their demeanor. They're saying, I'm going to go hit you. And more often than not, that makes all the difference in the world. And when you have a running back that's willing to go hit the linebacker, hit in the hole, at the worst, you got a stalemate usually. You got a stalemate, and you got a quarterback that can step up and make a throw.
Tim Hightower played at Richmond, so apparently they teach the same things at Richmond that they do at Miami.
I think he won a national championship at Richmond, too, if I'm not mistaken. They were pretty good for a couple of years there. And that would be in his age.
Spiders?
The Richmond Spiders, yes.
Great mascot.
How did you know that?
I don't know.
NCAA football, I'm sure.
Texas State, we compete in our division.
That's right. Texas State has played them, right?
To say compete, maybe.
Well, Texas State moved up, though, right?
Next year.
Next year?
Next year we're coming for you, Oklahoma.
Is there going to be a big battle between Texas State and UTSA?
I don't know.
Another Division One. New Division One.
Do you know who
program,
UTSA is?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Roadrunners.
Didn't they have like 55,000 people at their first game?
Come on, really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Well, it's a huge school. People don't realize it's like 40,000 people that go there.
I think that they had.
Do they play in the Alamo Dome?
Yeah.
Yes.
They finally found a team to put in the Alamo Dome. That's good.
Finally.
They had
Yeah,
a
we
big
played some high
alum
school
donate a
games
lot
in
of
that
money
stadium.
for that program.
Is that right?
Yeah, unlimited budget, basically.
Wow.
And so they're going to be able to do a little bit of something.
Man, this field goal's going to
Coker
be
will
easy.
spell it. You know that my head
Yeah.
coach in Miami is the head coach there now.
Yeah. Hey, in Florida it happened with was it Central Florida? And, it could happen in Texas.
FAU started their program 10 years ago. South Florida started their
Yep.
program roughly
So
10 years
it's
ago.
realistic now.
You know what? You got to have a school that's willing to take Prop 48 guys, or Prop 49 or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
The guys that can't get into D1 schools, but some schools won't take them, that they're not eligible for their first year, but they'll take them. That's how South Florida got good. They were able to take those players. Some of them were willing to stick it out and take those remedial courses to get eligible and turn into great players.
This is a good drive by the Redskins. The Cowboys being more aggressive defensively early in this drive. A couple of big blitzes. The Redskins beating that blitz.
We worked backwards at my university. We started all eligible because we had open admission. And then every year you go on and you have people just...
Where'd you go?
I went to TSU.
Okay.
The real TSU, by the way. Not this Texas State,
Texas Southern, we had Charles McClellan on with us last week here.
State.
You know I love... Big thing real quick by Kyle Shanahan there. He saw Tim Hightower, came up and stuck the blitz. And what did he do? He gave him 2 runs and a pass. Yep. That's good. You see guys getting rewarded like that. A lot of times, coaches, if you have big special teams plays, you going down making tackles, they're more apt to put you in games now. You know, you're going to get, if you're a receiver on a kickoff coverage, you're going down there, you make 3 tackles in one game. I guarantee you, if there's an opportunity, if there's a spot open, you're going to get one of the first looks. And you know what? Tim Hightower, he's a guy that he said, you know what, I'm going to stick up, I'm going to step up and stick this linebacker or stick this safety coming through the hole. Did it, and what do you know? He got 2 carries and a catch right after that. That shows you something.
And he was good in police academy.
He was great in police academy. Officer Hightower is one of my favorite characters. That's sad. That guy, you know, that guy actually died, right?
He passed away this year.
And
that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. Oh, that's an awful spot.
He's got one arm
That is a
up.
bad spot right there.
Let's see the replay. I'm
I
not
thought,
sure.
well, he might be down at the 1-inch line, but they were trying to mark him down. He's on top of the guy. Okay,
His
elbow.
hair touched.
No, elbow. Well, elbow means you're down.
The hair touched.
But the hair, what does the hair count for?
Yeah.
Is that a
that's
body
an
part?
interesting-
Body
Hair
part right
first?
there.
I don't know. That's close.
Would have grown his hair out. Would have had a touchdown.
Right.
Now, the funny thing is they review all scoring plays, but if they want to get a review here, it has to be challenged.
Yep.
Well, they challenge. It's first and goal on the half-foot line. I mean, why
No
risk
one's
the
gonna challenge
challenge,
that.
right? Yeah. Big spot for the Cowboys here.
That's
And
offsides on the defense.
Half the distance.
Wow.
It's
Doesn't
not
look like
going to
it's gonna
matter.
matter.
I don't think they called it.
Hightower finishes off the drive.
Great play call. Great throw.
I'm not really sure how to react right now.
Sex Cannon fantasy
Yeah.
fans just got some
Was
big
that-
points
It's been
there.
so long, I don't remember how to react.
Was that 2 field goals? And I'm not quite sure how they got 6 points.
Don't feel bad. The kicker's coming out right now.
They got to get him involved, right?
Yeah, we got it.
All right, well, Tim Hightower gives the Redskins the touchdown lead. While we wait for the extra point and get things going, we're going to give Eric another chance to go one-on-one. This time he's going to sit down with Bobby Duncan and Andy Bertelsen from the Black Matches here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show.
Well, I've been broken by this day. The thought of losing everything we could have saved. Even though we had chances to change, and we got lost trying to place the blame. But now I know I'm better than all the times I fought to hold it together. So from now on, I'm gonna give myself a chance.
Who's that?
That's the guy who did it.
All right, you just saw Bobby Duncan there of the Black Matches, taking some time. And also got Andrew Burleson out here, the Texas Renegades, kind of the same thing. We'll get into that a little bit. But tell me, first of all, tell me kind of your beginning, and then we'll get to his beginning, and we'll kind of go from there.
I was, I guess, 16 years old when I started writing songs in high school for friends and stuff because I thought it was cool. I got into Texas music real quick, you know. I mean, everybody was my
Sure.
age. And Pat was getting real big, and we just all kind of fell in love with it. So I started doing it and playing for my friends. And then when I was 18, I started playing open mics, and I ran into a bunch of really great songwriters that I'm still friends with. And it kind of just blossomed from there. Made a record at 19, and I guess 6 years ago this week, I started my first record.
Wow. Now, first for me, growing up, it was Pat Green. Pat
Yeah.
Green, Corey Morrow, going in Midland, seeing street dances for $5, watching
Right.
those guys, Roger Krieger. We were talking about that a little bit off. I think you guys might have played the same spots that some of those guys
Yeah.
have played too,
Oh, sure we
which is
have.
kind of crazy. What were both the, who were the big influences on yours? You mentioned Pat. Who were some of the big influences for you?
Starting out, yeah, Pat. Pat made me want to start playing guitar and writing songs, and Cross Canadian Ragweed made me want to start a band with some people.
There you go.
Yeah,
I've actually crowed cross really well. We started there's a charity softball tournament that every year in Austin, but some of the other time we'll talk about that. Now, Tell me how the Black Matches came to. I know you're part of the Texas Renegades. I think you were doing a solo gig for a while. Tell me how the formation of the Black Matches happened.
Well, I had a band for 5 years, did my own thing. We made a couple records and we promoted those records as my band. And then I got rid of them and went to the solo acoustic deal. I guess it was a year ago in July. And about halfway through that, I was it's kind of boring to travel by yourself and be by yourself all the time. It's really fun to kind of learn music again that way. But these guys had a band that was touring forever, and then their tour schedule kind of slowed down a little bit, and I just called them one day and I was like, hey man, we should just try to do something together. It was like a little change of pace, and it took a couple months to really get it going, but once it did, it took off. We had a great time. That first weekend we did stuff. It was a hell of a time.
Yeah. Now, how does that happen now when you bring, obviously you guys have been doing your own thing for a while there, and now you're bringing in a guy that's probably, now are you considered the lead singer, or how's that working? Are there titles? Do you try to stay away from that kind of stuff?
We split lead singing duties right down the middle, and then a lot of the stuff.
You guys can both play guitar, right?
Yeah.
You guys both can do the
play guitar.
But yeah, we split the lead singing duties, even on some of the stuff, because we do a lot of covers. It's kind of our MO. It's what we really like to do. We like to draw attention to other songwriters that maybe don't play as much or don't have, don't play in front of big enough crowds or stuff. And so we'll take even our old songs that we did by ourselves and we'll share lyrics on that.
Sure.
Because we've just been fans of each other forever, and it was easy. And like it was adding one guy rather than starting this whole new band with a bunch of different people. So.
Now, how was for you? How was that kind of I guess going into that? Was it a feeling out, because you didn't know the guys very well? I mean, I'm sure you've listened to them.
I knew them well enough, but I hadn't lived with them for 5 years.
Because that's a process. I mean, obviously, how many days a year are you guys on the road?
I don't know.
But a lot.
Yeah.
A majority, right? I mean,
see,
200,
I've been home since last Sunday. I've been home one day. So
I mean, you guys are on the road a lot. So obviously, you got a tour bus, I'm sure.
We have a tour van.
So that's even tighter quarters, though.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't realize. I think people,
yeah.
I think people at home. I think people, they see the concerts.
Yeah.
They see the concerts. They see the songwriting. They see the playing in front of whoever. Even if it's at a cool bar or whatever. It might not be the biggest crowds, but they look at that and say, man, that's really cool. But I was talking with Bob Smiley earlier about this. They don't see the grind. They don't see what it's like day in and day out, going, driving all night to get somewhere and not really having a full night's sleep and
not having a hotel room.
Not having a hotel room, because you're obviously on a budget. You're doing it like everybody else. What's the grind been like for you guys? Talk about the grind kind of coming up, and has it eased up a little bit now? You're getting a little bit bigger, or is it just as tough?
I think it's just as tough, especially getting older. It's a lot harder to be. You get more complacent with life, I think, as you get older. And I've got a girlfriend for a year and a half, so it's a little harder to leave. When I was 18 to 24, it was easy. I was ready to go every Wednesday, But the grind never changes. It's just like being, a pro football player. You got to leave at some point, and it's rough.
How about for you?
Same way, it gets easier to do, but yet harder to do at the same time.
Now, do you purposely try to stay away from anything that kind of ties you down because of that? i.e., buying a house, having family, doing anything just because you're,
Yeah, I mean, without a set salary, it's hard to buy a house and stuff. But
that's neither here nor there.
I got a dog, and now I have a girlfriend, so I mean, I'm steadily working my way into stuff that'll tie me down. But
all right, quick one-word answers. Favorite Pat Green song.
Crazy.
That's mine too.
Yeah.
What's the favorite Pat Green song?
Oh my God. So many.
Although I have one tattooed on my arm, that's my favorite song ever, but it was a Walt song. We'll get into that later.
My favorite song that Pat Green does is poetry. Take that.
Nice. Favorite place to play in Texas?
Oh man, Billy Bob's, because they treat you like royalty when you're just a nobody.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Right up the road here in the Woodlands.
Do-si-do.
Do-si-dos, thank you.
Yeah,
Do-si-dos. Now, you guys are coming to Houston here pretty soon to play, right?
Yeah, we'll be in the Woodlands on the 8th, and then Firehouse Saloon on the 22nd.
Firehouse is a great place.
Yeah.
We'll definitely come out and see you. Thanks for coming. The Black Matches.
Thanks for having me.
ghost in me. We go bump in the night despite all my dreams. She's tall and white, tan and free, decorated in grace, the things I need, so perfect. I'm free. I'm gonna wake up alone. This bed I made, love's addiction.
Stupid.
We're back here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. The Black Matches performed for us at halftime. We're going to have that up on our YouTube site if you want to check that out. We are getting ready for the Cowboys to kick yet another field goal as the pass to Ogletree was caught but out of bounds in the end zone. So the Cowboys...
Well, here's the thing about football, too, now, that they're actually winning the field goal contest, but they're still losing the game. And that's,
they're up 4-3 in field goals.
They're up 4-3 in field goals right now, but they're actually not winning the game because
definitely reevaluate
the whole touchdown factor that you have. That's the more advantageous scoring opportunity that sometimes doesn't happen too often.
And Ogletree, fantastic concentration on that catch, but just he couldn't keep the feet in bounds, had no chance because the ball was tipped up, and he pulls it down, but they didn't want 6 anyway. I think it's part of their strategy to go for the field goals. We'll see if we can get our crack research staff on the record for most field goals.
We got to find our record. Redskins are going to at least hit
they
one.
Just showed the Monday Night Football record, I think, at the start of the second half. It was 6 was the last time they had 6 field goals in a game.
I'm telling you, 10's got to be the highest for an NFL team. For an NFL game, 10 field goals. It has to be. That has to be the record, if that.
Maybe just 5 for each team.
Maybe you think about it. You think about 6 is the record, I think, because Baronis got it. 6 tied it, or I mean, it couldn't be more than that. And you have 5 each team would be a ton.
Yeah,
that's a lot of moving the ball, actually, if you think about it.
I find myself rooting for field goals.
You want to see, because you want to see something special happen. You want to see records set.
I'd like to see the Cowboys set some records this year.
Not the greatest record.
The magic happened in Week 3 on a Monday night, where we kicked.
That's why Jerry Jones built that palace, right?
Are we getting confirmation now that 8 is the record for a whole game, for combined 2 teams or 1 team?
One team.
For one team. How about combination? We'll get that. We'll get to that in a second. 8 now is the 8 is now the 1 team record, I guess, which is, if you think, that's 24 points in field goals.
It's pretty solid.
That's a lot of math.
Hey, did you really go to class at U?
No, but what I did do is I did use my feet on that one.
Okay.
It helped out.
Yeah.
You think about it, how much moving the ball that was.
Yeah.
For 8 chances at field, I mean, you got to move the ball. It's a lot.
Is it though?
A lot of yards.
Credit to the defenses for holding both teams out of the end zone, or is this an offensive?
It's always a little bit of both.
Inability.
I think what's happening here is a little bit what happened to us in New Orleans, and it's been happening to us. You don't have a lot of production on first down inside the red zone, and so then you get stuck with a 2nd and 9, 2nd and 8, and that field's a little smaller. It's not the defensive backs aren't playing that far off, and it's hard to get the yards. It's hard to every yard down there inside the 20 is a yard and a half or 2 yards in the open field because there's so much more valuable. There's so much more hard to come by, and it's tough. And if you're not giving yourself a chance on first down and setting yourself up with 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, you become predictable, and then it's kind of easy. It's not easy to stop you, but it's much more easy to stop you.
So in less time than you can take to figure out how many field goals there are going to be in this game, you can build your own man cave. Just go to billiardfactory.com. The Billiard Factory outfits our little man cave here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. They have 12 locations around the country, 10 here in Houston, and you can build your own man cave in just minutes. Go to billiardfactory.com. Thanks to Billiard Factory for being a sponsor and outfitting our deal. We even got the drawers thrown in for free, so
it's impressive.
It's okay, Bob.
Does that say Rob Baronis had 8 field goals that game?
Was it 8 in that game? Yeah, 8 field goals. I remember because I covered that game.
I don't know if you guys remember. It's one of
the
craziest games.
And Rob Baronis kicked 8 field goals at Reliance
That
Stadium.
was the game where Sage led us back, right? And we took the lead late, and then Kerry Collins came back, and Baronis had the game-winning field goal.
I think so.
I'm pretty sure that's a game So we were getting drummed. We were getting beat 30. They only had 8 field goals. They had 1 touchdown, so they scored 31, 32 points.
Right.
And we were getting beat at that point, 29 to like 7, I think, or 10.
Yeah.
It was like 11 minutes to play. I mean, it was kind of a no chance kind of a thing. And Sage had come in the game, throws a bomb, throws another bomb. Then all of a sudden, okay, we got one. And then we got a 3 and out. And then Dave fumbled a punt.
David Carr? Or no?
No, David Anderson.
David Anderson.
Kicked the field goal, and we got the ball back, threw another bomb.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, they're adding 3s, but we're adding 7s here. So now we're cutting in the lead. We get an onside kick, 3 plays, touchdown, and then all of a sudden we're winning.
You're winning.
And it's like the place, I mean, half the stadium was gone by the start of the 4th quarter. We're winning. People are going crazy. Then Kerry Collins throws a deep pass down the sideline, sets up the 8th field goal for Baronis. That ends up winning it by like 2.
Y'all scored 29 points in the 4th quarter of that game, only to lose on the last play of the game by a record-setting field goal.
I think tied a record. Yeah, 4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter by
Sage Rosenfels.
Wow. Think about that.
Did he start that game, or was
that Matt got hurt in that game? Hainsworth hit him.
Late hit, right?
Late on him, yeah. Flag.
Yeah.
Late on him, and then. It was just a weird thing. They all of a sudden went back into kind of a prevent, and we went down the field on it. It was amazing.
The old prevent.
Yeah. I'm still shocked that teams play that.
Prevent you from winning.
Yeah.
And that should have been picked.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
That's.
Yeah.
I'm not really a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to make that play. You got to make the play.
I'm allowed to hate the Redskins.
Thrown into double coverage there, trying to get it into Santana Moss.
Now, we haven't talked about this much, but Bob, you told me that your dad's a huge Cowboys fan. Like,
yeah.
Just crazy Cowboys.
There were so many silent moments in the car driving around, and he'd be listening. And if the Cowboys were losing, we'd just be sitting in the back, and we didn't want to do anything to make him mad because it was just like, I think he actually invented road rage based on how the Cowboys were doing. But yeah, we grew up, and we would actually travel in a motorhome, go on vacations, and if we had the rabbit ears, and if we would lose the pitcher, we would actually pull over and just park on the side until the games were over. So yeah, die hard.
You grew up in a small town in North Texas, right?
Yeah, in a town with 281 people. Our joke was, our idea of a large industrial company was basically a 300-pound Avon lady. So we just had nothing. And 281.
How do you pronounce it? Is it Era?
Era. Yeah. It's over by Valley View, up just by Lindsay, next to Myra.
Yeah.
These are all towns with like 300 people, but
those are other places where you have
Dallas.
You have to watch at that flashing yellow light, right?
Yeah, Valley View had a flashing yellow light. The braggarts, they were always like, "Ha, we've got a light."
But did you have a Dairy Queen?
No. And again, Valley View they were our rivals, and they had a Dairy Queen and the light.
Is there anything better in Texas than Dairy Queen?
Oh no. I've tried everything.
I cannot believe they don't have Dairy Queen in Houston proper. Yeah. It's only
Dallas, the closest Dairy Queen to Arlington.
Oh, we have Dairy Queens out on my side of town.
Where's that?
Northwest on 249. There's a Dairy Queen.
I can imagine.
There's been one there
because
for
on
years.
the way to Austin or San Antonio, you can hit one on I-10, a couple on I-10. There's one on 71 right as you get on 71. But once you get close to San Antonio, there's it's every 5 exits. It's right there.
There's one.
I'm a big fan of the blizzards. You got to stop.
Between here and where I live, there's one, but it's in a bad neighborhood because I stopped there one time and it was cool. I got to see how to draw a chalk outline body, but it was in a bad area. But that's the only one. I mean, you just can't find them around here.
I'm surprised because Whataburger's all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And they're probably doing well. You got to figure Dairy Queen will
Dairy
probably
Queen's not from Texas.
Although
In and Out is where is it from?
It's from Michigan.
Come on.
Yeah.
Dairy Queen?
Blasphemy.
Yeah, I looked it up.
They're doing a
Blasphemy.
good.
That is a fake.
Somebody told that to me too, and I did the exact same reaction. What? Full of it. But sure enough.
Don't talk like that in my presence.
I mean, we own it now. I mean, it's ours. I think probably.
We did put our stamp on it with the blizzards.
Idalou, Texas has a Dairy Queen, so I'm pretty sure.
Another near pick for the Cowboys. Rex Grossman taking too many
Is that
chances
a
in
pick
this game?
That's a pick, right?
I think the ball hits the ground.
Oh, yeah.
But if it can hit the
did he
ground, he
control
just
it?
can't. Yeah,
He
he
may
can't.
have
He's got to
controlled
control it. I don't think he controlled it.
I don't know. They're going to challenge this.
What about you, Eric? When you were growing up,
either
like
way, it's
little boy, which I can't imagine, but let's just go with it. What did you have a team that you rooted for? Or was like
San Francisco 49ers.
Oh yeah.
I was there. You know what's funny? I have 3 other brothers, and the youngest one was a lot younger than me, so it was really two other brothers when I was growing up. And we all hated the Cowboys and all liked someone different. I love the San Francisco 49ers. My little brother was the biggest Buffalo Bills fan that you'd ever, I mean, his favorite player was Don Beebe. Like just
a white guy who can run.
Because that was my little brother. He was like the run of the family at one for almost all until all of a sudden he grew like a foot in like 2 years. It was weird, but he was that little engine that could.
Yeah.
And so was BB, and that was his thing. He had his like training videos, so he'd be in his room doing the training stuff, doing like the band exercises, you know, trying to get big. He was like 4'6", you know, at some point, and then all of a sudden he, you know, sprouted up. But that was funny. And then my older brother kind of liked some other teams, but nothing we all had in common except our hatred for the Dallas Cowboys.
The Cowboys.
We all hated the Dallas, and everybody, of course, I'm from Midland, so
Yeah.
everybody loves the Dallas Cowboys in Midland, and we were united in that front.
That's funny, the training videos, because I did the same thing, but we only had sweating to the oldies, so it didn't really have the same effect.
Look at old D'Angelo Hall trying to prove everybody wrong,
Yeah.
hitting somebody out of
can
bounds.
hit.
Yeah, you hit him out of bounds, but that's all right.
LaRon Landry with the coverage there on Jason Witten. You know how good of a tackler Landry is, and Witten just pushed him off like he was D'Angelo Hall. Oh,
There's a horse collar too. It should be. There's a flag. This will make the field goal even closer, though. So this will be good.
Yeah, let's cut that lead to 1.
Cut it to 16-15 in the bottom of the 8th.
Oh, no, the flag is going against the Cowboys.
Holding on Martellus Bennett.
Bennett.
Texas A&M product.
Yeah.
Committed to Miami at one point.
And then had a change of heart.
I don't think he could get in. As crazy as that sounds, we actually have standards. It's not a sliding scale at Miami. You actually have to have a certain SAT score.
How is that not a horse collar, though? He grabs him by the back. Well, I'm sure there's been an offensive lineman or two flagged for holding who said he let go also. But
it didn't look as violent that time.
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
No, I was looking across at Bobby.
I'm not a big fan of the horse collar.
There's another snap to Romo when he wasn't ready.
But was that a bad... Oh, you think he wasn't ready?
Wasn't that the same thing, Eric? Look, now he's having words with Phil Costa, his center, having a rough season this year.
Good to see he was listening. Did you see him turn away from
He's a rookie,
Look,
isn't
look, he wasn't ready.
Oh, that hit him.
Cup check. He had a few words for his center.
Costa's a rookie, right?
Now I see why Jessica Simpson broke up with him. He's going to be all like that.
Well, he's married now.
Oh.
You okay? You need a tissue?
Sorry. It's live TV. Can't do anything else about it.
Another first.
It's time
for
to
not
go.
your
It's time to
ordinary
go.
You getting shut
You know,
up
it's
over
funny,
the
like
fumble?
twice in the show before, last week I almost sneezed and I was like, hold it back. That one,
Don't be
that
that
one came
guy.
up on me fast. I couldn't do anything about it.
I'm glad you turned that way instead of this way.
I actually was trying to turn away from my mic, but next time I'll go this way.
It's because I'm a Cowboys fan. But not really. But kind
A
of.
moderate fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Pass batted down. Third and long situation where the Cowboys are moving the ball, and now they're not even in field goal range yet. This would be a little bit of an upset. Arakpo and Kerrigan, that's two of the best young edge rushers. I mean, they've added two big weapons on defense.
Yeah, they've drafted pretty well over the last couple of years. Like I said, I think Hazlitt's had the biggest influence on this. You know, he's attacking more. He's coming after guys more. He's not sitting back on their heels. And, you know, London Fletcher, too, has also always been the steady hand right there in the middle. You know, people forget about London Fletcher. I think he's only been to one Pro Bowl, but it's been something that, you know, it's kind of a shame because he's led the league in tackling probably 16 times out of his 12-year career or something like that. He's another guy that's been, you know, I think he's been around 15 years, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably been around guys like that too. Tell people, what their work ethic is like in the off season. People hear it from me. They're like, oh, he just says everyone works hard. Those special guys that you've been around, what's their work ethic like? How do they train?
You have to. I mean, it's not even. I don't care how much talent they have or God-given talent. I mean, you have to be more disciplined than that. And obviously, if there was a year I've seen it more than ever, it was this year. I mean, we loved it because of the fact that now you see the disciplined athlete, show up a lot more. But you have to, especially with the injuries that you sustain nowadays. These guys have to recover so much. So this nonsense that all they do is make all the money and they don't work that hard for it. It's ridiculous. These guys are working real hard. Just the same thing like in media. You're going to always hear the negativity. You're not going to hear as much positive. But those guys are grinding every single day. And even right now, we have players that get released and then literally a day or two after they get released. And we talked about a couple of players that Texas sent. They're in there already training,
working out, getting ready to come back.
Well, and here's the thing too: is you have to be ready because that phone can ring at any time, and that's your shot. And you come to those workouts. There's 5 or 6 other guys at these workouts. They're looking to sign one guy, and they'll make you run a 40. They're going to ask you to do drills, and if you come in there, what'd you play at? Oh, I played at 250. Well, why do you weigh 261? Well, I'm a little out of shape right now. They're not looking for a guy in week 10 or week 8 as it's a little out of shape that's going to need a couple weeks to get ready. They're looking for a guy that can come in and play now and that can contribute now. It's not going to be an injury risk. And if you're if you're a guy that's there, they're not going to sign you, and that could be your chance to get back on with the team. And you're right. I mean, it's so important. I think not just in season but off season too, because a lot of people. I think there's always a time to rest and to kind of recuperate, but there is a time that you have to get ready and you have to make sure your body's right for the season.
I'll tell you what, let's visit a little bit more, give Eric a chance to visit with Danny Arnold from PLEX as we go to another of our one-on-one segments. In our final segment of one-on-one, Eric's going to square off with fitness guru Danny Arnold, founder and owner of PLEX. Danny's trained many NFL stars, including former Heisman Trophy winner Charles Woodson and All-Pros Julius Peppers and Casey Hampton. It's one-on-one with Eric Winston.
In defining the true entrepreneur, which is something that I'm learning as I go, and I'm sure I got tons and tons more room to grow, is guts. You got to have some guts. Danny Arnold, and started this company 14 years ago. PLEX is sports medicine and sports performance, and we work with all individuals of all ages, of skill levels and experiences. We work with people that are trying to lose 100 pounds, people are just trying to get ready for the Olympics, or try to win a world championship. I was mainly raised in Central America. I'm Nicaraguan. My dad is American, my mom's Nicaraguan. We lived in Nicaragua and El Salvador, and then when things got really, really bad, we moved to Miami. And when we were in Miami, what I consider a very aggressive.
All right, here we go. Danny Arnold, thanks for coming. Thanks for being a part of this Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. Now, like I like to do with everybody else, talk about your story. Talk about where you got here. You're originally from Nicaragua, right?
Yep.
And then now you came to the country.
Correct.
What year? Now, how old were you when you came?
I came here. I remember Super Bowl 16. We went to Miami.
Okay.
I went to school in Miami, and then ended up going to college over here at Texas Southern University, and played under Coach Highsmith, which his son actually was a star. Actually, the highest drafted fullback ever.
Yeah.
At University of Miami. Yeah. So I came over here, and obviously just for that one small reason that I'm a little bit handicapped on the height. I wasn't able to go to the next level, but I had a very good, successful college football and track career, and during those years, I actually sustained some pretty serious injuries, and never really saw a rehabilitation program that was geared for the athletes. You always saw the civilian one, and then they just added a little bit here and there. And so in that time, when I was playing college ball and running track, I met a lot of friends, and a lot of them have been professional athletes. And one in particular sticks out is Bobby Taylor. Played for Notre Dame and then played for the Eagles. And it was real simple. Why not do this on a private sector? And then I coached a couple of years at the university level, didn't really like it that you're in control. You're not in control, but bottom line, they control you.
I was able to get some good
started a
ones from the
company.
get-go.
I'll never forget. I started with $250, and Bobby Tim was one of my first clients.
Real quickly, it grew fast. And then now,
Orlando Pace,
the problem
and then,
has been
word travels
to tell
fast in
people
the NFL.
locally.
Well, and a lot of people
we're
don't realize
open to
is
the
how
general
many
public,
NFL
and we're not
players
just
live
open
here
to
in
the
Houston
pro
all
athlete
season. I mean,
also.
that's
There
that
was
had to be, I guess,
one
one of those
major
lucky
common
breaks for
trait
you.
amongst
I guess in the
people
sense
here.
that you know every great story has a couple of unforeseen lucky breaks that have come up on. I think that was yours. Tell some of the listeners too, because I don't think people realize the studs that really live here in Houston for a lot of different reasons. Houston, I think, is a great place to live, but people have houses here. Say some of the names that come out to your place in the off season that they're rehabbing and working out.
You know, and when you mention living here, sometimes they're not living here the whole year.
Sure.
Because obviously they have to go back to their team. So we actually go out of our way to accommodate them, and we set up housing for them. But, you know, guys like a Charles Woodson or a Julius Peppers and Sean Rogers and a bunch of other names, Charles Tillmans and even Adam Carrickers and all these other guys, you know, we help them. So when they're here, all they have to worry about is their training and their nutrition. But, you know, Houston's great weather-wise, you know, for the most part, when it comes down to the training regimens.
Now, tell us about PLEX. Now, PLEX, I've never actually been out there. A lot of my teammates have worked out there. Nothing but positive things have been said out there. There's athletes and also you're at regular day, you know, 9-to-5ers are out there too as well, right?
I mean, we're from 6 years old all the way to whatever age, you know, as long as you have a little effort or a little desire to become better, we're there for you. So we're open for civilians, let's say.
Sure.
And but everything's program driven. Our whole staff is made up of physical therapists to sports performance coaches. So it's pretty neat because now when you go in there and you go into our program, we're not necessarily trying to make you lose weight or necessarily trying to make you gain muscle, but we're actually trying to be joint friendly and make you feel better because in this world today, it's all cosmetic. They're always talking about losing weight here, losing weight there. And I'm like, no, you just got to have energy. And so we encompasses the whole thing, the nutritional aspect, the performance aspect, and then the rehab aspect.
Now, do you feel like that's what sets you apart from everywhere else? That there's not a lot of, just to me, and you know, I hear a lot about different places, but you know, there's a lot of places that have weights. There's a lot of places that have physical therapists, and there's a lot of places that do a lot of things, but there's not a lot of places that do everything under one house. And let's face it, there's not a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't have time. I mean, I don't have time, but I know your everyday people that might be, you know, workout warriors or might love your softball league or love your, you know, your basketball league that they're part of. They hurt their ankle, they hurt their knee. They don't have time to, okay, I'm going to go grab a workout at this place, then I'm going to go to my physical therapist, and then somehow, you know, I'm going to get home and, you know, do it. You know, have you experienced that? That's kind of what sets PLEX apart, I guess, from everyone else.
You know, on paper it does. On paper, when you see the nutritional aspect, the physical therapy aspect, and then the training aspect, and we're so well-rounded in that regards, it does set us apart. But I think the one thing that puts us above anybody else is the energy that the facility brings and the staff brings. And not to get too complex into it, but the truth is that most facilities, I don't care what it is, I don't care if it's dealing with a nutritionist or I don't care if it's going to do rehab or it is to go with a personal trainer, they're not motivating anymore. And so we look at these things almost as a negative thing, when in reality, even though you're coming in there, you're going to sweat, you're going to hurt a little bit, and it's going to be tough, the fact is you leave there and like, I can't wait to get back in here. And that's one of the biggest things that I realized that in facilities they lack. And you know it as well as anybody, when you have a coach that motivates you, you didn't physically get better in the next play, but the fact that he motivated you to get excited, you're going to give that little extra effort. And that's the same thing and the same attitude I try to place with us people, the civilians, the regular people.
Well, I think, you know, like you said, any great leaders and great coaches, they find a way to motivate their guys. They find a way to motivate the people there, and I think they're better for it. Where do you see, kind of last question here, where do you see PLEX in 5 years? Where do you see PLEX in 10 years? Do you still have some goals for it? Do you still have some things? Are you at the point where you're happy with it and now you're ready to try to maintain it and make it better? Or, you know, how do you see, I guess, PLEX transforming now here over the last 4 or 5
Well, we have 3 locations. We have 3 locations right here in Houston right now, and our goal is to go global, and not just nationally, but global, and mainly to go into even existing facilities and influence them about the energy and about the different programs that we have to be able to encompass it into their facilities, so we can, you know, reach out to the public, you know, a lot quicker.
Okay. Well, that's great, Danny Arnold. Appreciate you
appreciate
for
being
taking
on
some
here.
time,
Yep.
and let's catch the last of this game.
All right.
It's not their sport. It's not their backgrounds. It's definitely not their race or color. It's not even their skill setting. But what it is their effort. Pro players respect anybody that gives 100%. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one, you get rest. Although things might look a little bit more calmer and relaxed, unfortunately, and maybe that's what keeps me going. I feel almost as stressed today as I did 14 years ago when I started this business. The fortunate or unfortunate part, I used to stress out about $200. Now I got to stress out about making, renting 3 facilities. There's 27, soon to be 29 people that are counting on me putting food in their.
Danny Arnold and his fantastic program at PLEX. Danny, we're going to watch a little bit more of that video after the game, so if you're interested in finding out more about PLEX and the athletes that Danny works with, stay tuned for the end of Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. It looks like we got a great ending to what has been a little bit of a rough game. Cowboys driving now on the 10-yard line.
The dreaded
of the
first
Redskins.
and goal on the 10.
Yeah. Is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing because you're down there. And
You got more room to work.
And finally, they got a positive run. They got a five-yard run right there. Now they got 2nd and goal on the 5. Now they got options. They can run it again. They can play action pass. Your 2nd and goal on the 10, that play action pass isn't quite as intimidating. Isn't quite as a beater as it is on 2nd and 5.
And Felix Jones breaking off a 30-yard run to put them in to Redskins territory. That's the big play the Cowboys have been looking for all game.
They haven't been able to bust many, and the ones they have, they've gotten penalties and brought them back. This one is something now. They're 2nd and 5. This is their best opportunity all game to score, and they're going to need to take advantage of it.
Down by 4.
We got a play action pass, and it's a sack.
And
fumble.
there's Romo's ribs getting their biggest test of the day. Let's see if that Kevlar vest protected him. They are going to have to peel him off the turf, I think.
And Doug Free has had a rough game this game. He's had a rough go of it. He had another sack, I think, earlier in the game. He had a hold earlier in the game, and just getting beat around the corner. Just isn't transitioning. I've been there
Rob
before.
Jackson with the hit on Romo.
I've been there before. That's a tough one, and that's a tough
Especially
position.
a quarterback
It's a
with
tough
cracked
position to play. Sometimes as a lineman, your quarterback's hurt a little bit, and wow, that's a huge penalty.
The flag is on the Redskins.
That's a huge penalty.
First down.
They got a defensive hold, the automatic first down, half the distance. But just finishing that thought, as an offensive lineman, your quarterback's a little hurt. Sometimes the tendency is like, okay, can't mess up now, even more so than usual. And you'd start doing things that you wouldn't normally do. You start undersetting guys. You stop believing in what you've been doing the whole time that got you there. It's a tough position. We got 1st and goal on the 2 now.
And the Cowboys not going with a power formation. They've spread them out here and are still going to run it.
Jeez.
But Tashard Choice.
That's I don't know. That's real questionable right there.
I mean, theoretically, if you
that's
spread
real
them out,
questionable right there.
Hang on a second. If you spread them out, you should have room to run.
Spreading
inside,
out
right?
does not work as much on the goal line. You got to remember that
Right
defensive
no
backs, you
threat for
can
a
man
quarterback
up.
to
You can
either.
man up pretty much. You're not worried about getting beat deep.
Right. The safeties are still
so you're
there.
going to be outnumbered in the box, and it depends on how you want to be outnumbered. And especially just out of shotgun. You're limited in the kind of runs you can do out of shotgun. There's not a lot of pitch plays you can run out of shotgun. There's not a lot of sprint draws you can run out of shotgun. So now they're going to double down and they're going to go no backs and going to go 4 receivers to the right side. Try to work Martellus over there.
Fantastic play by Josh Wilson.
And now they're working 3rd and goal on the 5.
Is this
So they try to get 4 receivers to try to get man coverage on Martellus Bennett. Kind of a
big size mismatch
low,
there?
Yeah, that ball's got to be.
Wilson didn't get a piece of it.
That ball's got to be higher. That's a tough catch.
I think Bennett just missed.
I think the ball's got to be higher. If your
Right.
Martellus is 6'6", you got Wilson at probably 5'10".
They look like a
Throw that ball
semicolon next
high
to it.
and let
Make him
Martellus
jump.
go get it. I mean, he's a heck of an athlete, unbelievable
That's
athlete.
the matchup that the Cowboys were looking for.
Now you're 1st and goal at the 2. Now you're 3rd and goal at the 5. That's
Cowboys football.
Yeah. and you say you're not a fan.
Oh, I just hear a lot about it.
And that play just looked terrible. Is this 4-down territory?
And you can see Romo's pressing. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
There's not.
Well, he should be frustrated. His offensive line has had a rough game.
He's had a rough game, but his receivers aren't running the right. But he's frustrated. You never see Romo. Romo's not this guy. There's some quarterbacks that will get after you.
Right.
You just
Jay
know
Cutler.
that. You know, there's not even Jay Cutler, but other guys that will get after you. Romo's not this guy, but you can tell how frustrated he is because he's getting after receivers. He's getting after guys. You know, come on, let's. You know, that's just not him usually. And Dallas has taken a commanding lead.
Yeah,
In the
5-3. 5-3
field goal
in the
battle.
kicking
Yeah.
contest.
But on the scoreboard, okay, let me ask you though, is it because there's 7 minutes left in the game, you have to take those points? If there were,
Oh, sure. Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
okay,
Right there.
that's a huge disappointment though,
Fourth,
when you have
you know,
first
fourth
and
and
goal,
five,
the
pretty
2 or the
much.
3.
4th and 5 isn't a high percentage.
Well, it was 2nd and 5 from inside, or from the 5, or the 4, and then they got a penalty, and it's first
Right.
and goal from the 2, and then it's 2nd and goal
And
from
then
the 5.
but you got to remember too, they went run, pass, pass.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Before they went pass before that too. So, not a lot of belief in the run games right now.
Well, the Cowboys, I mean, that's a huge disappointment for them, although not for their field goal kicker. Hey, while we're in this quick timeout, let's bring in Katie, the referee girl, with another question from the crowd. Katie, welcome back in.
So they seem to be pretty concerned about the Steelers, how the Steelers are going to be doing. In particular, you know, whether they can protect their quarterback.
Texans and Steelers next Sunday at
Yes.
Reliance Stadium.
Now, I'm just going to keep referring to him as Steelers quarterback until we can figure out like a nickname for this guy, because once you have past like 4 vowels in your name, like I'm done for.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah. Call him like Burger, the Berg.
Did you see any of the Steelers Colts last night?
I did watch it all.
Because Roethlisberger had real problems on the offensive line. They lost 3 starters on their line. They ended up having to bring somebody back into the game who was supposed to be out for the rest of the game.
Yeah, you know, that's always a problem. I've been in a game where we had a couple of guys go down here and like start looking at the tight end. You ever want to play tackle before? You know, but you know they're going to figure it out. Obviously, there as far as the injuries go. Now they've had a revolving door at tackle here for the last couple of years. They just haven't been able to keep people healthy. They haven't been able to find a guy that they really like. They liked Cologne there. They signed him, and then he got hurt again, another season-ending injury before he got started. They had Flozell Adams last year, and that was kind of a patch right there. They decided not to go with him again.
I hope they still have his number.
Yeah, they might need it. But, that's something that you're going to have to exploit. Obviously, we're going to have to get after them. We're going to have to be able to go get them. And I think that's the one thing Indianapolis did is when they got him into 3rd and long, they went after Roethlisberger. They hit him, sack, fumble twice, one turned into a touchdown. That's going to be key in this game because, when you're playing the Steelers defense, they're tough. They're going to create havoc, and we're going to have to be able to stay balanced and run the ball. But at the same time, you can't go in there expecting to score 45 on a great Steelers defense because they are who they are.
And Roethlisberger, it's amazing to me how the Steelers, they can still line up and power run you, right? But they prefer to go 4 wide and really
It's kind of a change of pace. Bruce Arians, who was on his way out and for whatever reason ended up staying, a couple of years ago. Then they made it to the Super Bowl last year. But you're right. They have gotten away, I think, a little bit from what they, what they're known for. They're known
at
for,
least in
for
that game last night against the Colts, there were a lot of
Rashad
passes.
Mendenhall's a good back too. They've got to give it to him more, I would think. But like you said, up front, if you're a revolving door up front, it's hard to build a lot of cohesion. It's hard to build a lot of just together. A lot of that time after time again doing things with another person right there and knowing how that's going to fit in, knowing how you're going to come off of this block. That all builds into it, and if you're not there and it's a different guy every week, it's hard. It makes it tough.
The Steelers dealing with injuries on the offensive line. I wanted to ask you about the Eagles, the quote-unquote dream team, and their problems now. Michael Vick, it's not a broken hand, but he may miss this upcoming game against the Niners. Are they in trouble right now, the Eagles?
I said this going in, and it showed its face in the preseason that they went out and they spent a lot of money and they made some great trades and they did a lot of things, and what they never did is sign anybody on the offensive line.
Yeah.
They have Winston Justice that was hurt. They signed Ryan Harris. All these guys are hurt.
They had a high draft pick on Danny Watkins from Baylor.
And he hasn't.
He's not even playing.
You know what? If you're going into, to me, if you're going into a season desperately depending on a rookie to be ready on week 1, then you've gone about your system in a wrong way. So, he's not ready week 1. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player. It just means he's not ready week 1 to go in there and play. And so now they're depending on other people, and they're shocked now that Michael Vick's getting hit all the time. Right. Well, you had a guy that wasn't a very, I guess, durable quarterback to begin with, but now you're letting him get hit. He's getting frustrated. You're seeing him and the comments. You can tell how frustrated he is, and it's just turning into a bad situation. They've got to figure it out. Let's not forget that defense has been porous. They've been giving up a lot of runs. They've been giving up a lot of plays that they normally give up.
There's Roy Helu, the Nebraska running back we were talking about earlier in the game. Big play to get the Eagles, or the Redskins, I should say, out from the shadow of their own goalposts. I want to get back to that Eagles thing in just a minute. I'm afraid Katie's going to throw the flag on me, though. Katie, thank you for the question from the crowd.
And for not blocking me this time. It was kind of cool.
I noticed how she sat back a little bit. That was nice of her.
I did put my foot out whenever she came over. So
that's a great play call right there to get a drive going. Dallas all night has been blitzing a little bit on first down. They've been bringing an extra guy, sometimes a couple guys. Right there, they caught him in a pressure and get a big gain on first down. Those are the kind of little plays that keep a drive going. Now they got a 5-yard pass, so now we're setting up 2nd and 5. We're keeping downs manageable for Rex Groshans. Look, we're getting under 6 minutes for this game. They're up 1. Let's face it, Dallas hasn't scored a touchdown tonight. Yeah, so a field goal here, I hate to say ices it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you kick a field goal and now you're making them go down with 2 minutes left. That's tough. And they're gonna this is the part where you slow it down a little bit. You're snapping the ball under 10 seconds on the play clock. You don't want to give them 2 extra possessions. You're gonna make them have 1 left, and they're getting close to it.
Surprised that they're throwing it, because Hightower's had some success running the ball.
Well, that's what they do. And you got to remember, it's controlled passing right here.
There's a head-to-head. And there's the flag coming in late. 2 flags on the hit on Santana Moss.
You know what I hate is I hate the one official that makes this. They call it. They call it. And then all of a sudden, 3 seconds later, you see them going, oh yeah, I had the same call. I had the same call.
I always thought that was it. I second that motion.
Yeah. I don't want to get graded down on that. So let me get this illegal.
Now, is this defenseless receiver?
That's not defenseless
shoulder
receiver.
to the helmet?
Yeah. Let me see if it's to the helmet. That doesn't even look
right
to the helmet.
Right under the chin,
that
right?
probably shouldn't have been a flag.
It's just such a fine line. What's your opinion on the calls for head-to-head? Because I've seen a couple of great, outstanding blocks downfield in college football this year. One that a Texas receiver had against a UCLA defensive back that he just couldn't get low enough. This guy's 6'4".
That shouldn't have been a penalty.
And it was the exact same scenario.
As long as it's not to the head.
But they call it, and there's such a fine line.
There's a fine line, and you got to remember those officials are getting pressured in the calling.
Absolutely,
especially on
I guess that was my
national, on a nationally broadcast.
Here's the thing:
more people are watching.
Yep.
I'm not one of those people that believe that football is changing. I don't. I mean, just because you're taking away shots to defenseless guys to the side of their heads, to me, doesn't make the game any less violent. I think you're just being smarter about what's going on. So I like the changes we made. Now, I don't sometimes agree with the way we're enforcing them as far as fines and the way we're trying to punish guys for them, because I don't necessarily think that's sometimes the best way to go about it, but that's the way they've chosen. But you're right, it's a fine line. It's tough. And I'd like to see more from the league office as far as if they throw a flag and it shouldn't have been. Like right there, it probably shouldn't have been. That should not be a fine. You shouldn't be fining guys to fine them because, he threw a flag.
And the ball pops out of Grossman here. The sack by DeMarcus Ware. Well, Ware got the edge on the tackle there.
It's tough.
I agree with that. I think that.
But he's been pretty quiet tonight.
Yeah, they've done a good job on him. But getting back to it, and hold on, we'll watch this real quick. Just didn't get out of his stance, didn't have a chance. That's a fumble right there.
I think the Redskins recovered, though. Look, he even covered up the ball, and he couldn't hold on to it.
Last night they talked a lot about...
Oh, he was down.
The big old bear.
No, his knee was down. No, his knee's down right here.
Right before.
No, it's out.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Robert, don't argue with me. A lot of people... Sorry, the Colts get a ton of credit for popping the ball out, for stripping, for sack fumbles. DeMarcus Ware's right up there with him.
Yeah.
You look at what he's done over the last couple of years, really 3 or 4 years, and he's up there in the league leader with any of those guys. He's a special player.
Redskins.
But getting back to what it's such a fine line. It's hard to call it. You don't want to see penalties.
Right.
You don't want to see penalties. I guess factoring into the game
right.
so much.
Well, I agree with what you said. That like if the NFL can judge whether the penalty was warranted or not, then there should be a fine or there shouldn't be a fine. I mean, you're able to tell on replay whether a dude's headhunting or he's not.
Sure, I agree with that, and that's just. I like the fact that they've expanded it to on special teams to guys.
Yeah.
There's no need to me to go up to the side of a guy's head to do it. That just doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense.
There's harder hits on kickoff returns.
Yeah, and I like the changes they've made so far.
Here's DeMarcus Ware, making life miserable for Grossman again. Is DeMarcus Ware? Is Mario Williams your teammate? Is he? He's clearly in that role in Wade Phillips' defense. Does he have the ability to be that kind of disruptive linebacker?
Oh, sure. Yeah, Mario's a guy that has. I think he's got a chance to be the best defensive player in football. I really believe that. It's
better than DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of him now just keep getting better every game and keep improving, keep playing. You see the respect that a lot of them give. They always slide their lines, or they're doubling them now much more. He's just got to keep doing what he's doing. Got to keep just believing in the route he's taking and what they're coaching him.
Wow, that's pretty elite company. Bruce Smith and Reggie White.
Look at Reggie White. He averaged in his first 100 games. He averaged more than a sack a game. That's incredible. Wow. That's unbelievable. That is unbelievable. In his first 100 games, averaged more than a sack a game. I think Bruce Smith ended up with ended up playing 205 games and had 200 sacks or something like that.
Wow.
So
that's pretty.
He almost ended up for a sack. That's incredible. I mean, just to think about that from where most guys do it, it's hard to imagine.
The Cowboys with a little more than 3 minutes to go.
This is where there's a lot of hard decisions to be made. You got 2 timeouts after you're the Cowboys. You're 3:30 left in the clock. You get out the midfield now. You're going to have to start thinking real hard about going for it.
It almost seems to me like if they can stop shooting themselves in the foot from the snaps, the shotgun snaps to dropping balls or getting key penalties, they can win this game. This game's there for the taking.
Oh, what a catch!
You got to remember that bobbled snap too. That's going to come back and play. This game could easily be 19-15.
Right.
Between 2 offensive juggernauts.
Ogletree there playing the role of Miles Austin.
Great route, great throw. Actually, a little bit behind him, but great catch. Leads him a little bit more. He could have been a bigger gain. Now they're going to come back with the pressure here. They're going to make one of these receivers get open in a hurry and make Romo make a throw here.
Oh
Did
boy!
It again.
Goodness.
And the ball. Oh, he grabbed
Did
the ball
it again.
They got to change centers, right?
This is ridiculous.
I mean, how many of those can you have?
I don't understand what the miscommunication is.
It's Romo when he's walking back or forward. He thinks that he's lifting his leg.
I don't know, but that was
No,
weird. Right?
they're doing something. They're doing something with his hands because Romo keeps telling him, "Oh, I'm doing this and not this." See, watch. See, look at the center.
I don't think he was saying quite that nicely.
No,
Well,
I'm telling you.
He evidently invited him to Fuddruckers, is what it looked like.
Those snaps are going to be their undoing tonight if they don't pull this off. It's 3rd and 21.
3rd and 21 now.
And they've had 3 snaps, shotgun snaps, that were terrible.
Ridiculous.
And they had the same problem 2 weeks ago. There can't be an excuse for that.
Although I've got a friend that's a comic, and he has a great bit about it where he says, he's holding the mic, and he goes, my favorite player is Tony Romo. And then he accidentally drops the mic, and he goes, anyway, and he just So this is actually good for his bit. He'll be able to do it a couple more weeks.
Here comes the heat from the Redskins again, right? Yep. Good blitz pickup.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Look at D'Angelo Hall.
Was that Hall on the
Look
coverage?
who it was, too.
Good night.
That was huge.
Look, it was Hall.
3rd and
From a moderate
21.
fan.
Romo
You cannot let that happen.
on the run, and he finds a guy wide open. Oh, we have a flag on the play, though.
Oh, good God.
It's not on.
If it's on the
Dallas.
center, man, he's
He's fired.
Ed Hockley pushing Jason Witten away. Offensive pass interference, maybe? Is that how he got so far open?
no, it's
No,
on
it's
him.
going to be on the defense.
Yeah, Witten's skipping away right there. Happy about something.
See, I don't agree with that. 3rd and 21, bringing guys. That's what happens. That doesn't make it. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Because that's what can happen.
That's just, you can't give that pass up.
See, if you're D'Angelo Hall, what are you doing?
Hall gets turned around.
What are you doing? It's 3rd and 21.
Why
let
are you
him,
running
Let
up?
him throw it. Let him throw it right there. Let him throw the smoke. Let him do that.
Oh, it's a
face
face
mask.
mask.
Guess what? That just put him in field goal range.
Yep. Which is where they're comfortable.
We're very comfortable kicking field goals apparently.
Maybe D'Angelo Hall was looking at Tony Romo's ribs.
Goat of the week.
What's the
D'Angelo
record?
Hall.
8 in one game by one player?
They're not going to
or
get it just by one team. Rob Baronis against us.
team, right.
That was part of a record-breaking day.
Nice.
Now, if you're the Redskins, you got to go after them because now you got to try to force them back, get them out of field goal range.
They're going to go to the run here.
You would hope.
Now, if you're the Redskins, you're going to get the clock's going to stop at the 2-minute warning. Are you at the point where you start calling timeouts?
See, I don't call a timeout. See, I would not have called a timeout there if I'm them.
Did they just call a timeout at the 2-minute
Well,
warning?
they called it at 2:04.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they're going to call it at 2:04.
Because the clock says 2
Yeah,
minutes.
they clicked it. They're going to call it back. They're going to call it at 2:04. They wouldn't have given it to him if they.
Okay.
But here, see, 2:03. Now, that to me, that's not smart to me.
Yeah.
I would have waited and let it go down to 2 minutes because now, if you're the Cowboys, what can you do now? You can pass it or run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they could do that anyway, right?
No, why would you?
It
if
would have
you're
hit the
Pac-
2-minute warning.
Now, if you're the Cowboys and if it's at the 2-minute warning, you're going to pass it and then let them.
No, you're not. You're right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
So
okay.
now you force them into a run where they have to. Either they're going to give a chance of stopping the clock and or picks or interceptions, or now if you stop it before the 2-minute, after the 2-minute warning, and say, okay, I'm willing to give up my timeouts, you're forcing them into a one-dimensional game.
Right.
So that's why I guess I don't really agree with.
But if you're the
what they're doing.
Redskins, you want as much time left on the clock.
We're talking about.
If you can
you're right,
stop
and that's you're giving up 5 seconds. You gave up 3 seconds.
Right.
So to do what I said, you had to give up 3 seconds.
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to go conservative here because they don't want to get sacked or have another bad shotgun
I probably
snap.
would have tried a quick some throw.
Yeah.
I would have run the slant, but that's just because it would have worked.
You got to figure though, they're playing the odds game now. They're 5 for 5 in field goals. When was the last time the Cowboys were ever 5 for 5 in field goals?
Well, you just jinxed them.
Well,
Good one.
They
Good
had
one.
ruined it for all of North Texas. I'm out of here.
Good one.
And it's probably been a long time since you guys got a flat on the van, huh? There you go.
No.
They do for one.
Van.
Yeah, it has been a while.
Hey, while we're in the 2-minute warning, a question from the Verizon Twitter feed. Do you guys think Des Bryant is hurting the Cowboys by trying to play tonight? Until he made that big catch, he'd been pretty quiet. That question
It
obviously
doesn't seem
before.
like he's hobbling around. I think they had I think they probably have some sort of system for him, some sort of game plan for him where they're going to double him. They're going to double a little bit more, make sure he's out of the game, doesn't take control like he did early in the Jets game.
Another Twitter question from our friends at Verizon. Does Eric want his son Jackson to play tackle like Eric does now or tight end like he did at Midland Lee?
Whatever he wants.
Eric's a proud new papa. New baby born, what, about a month ago?
Yeah, 5 weeks ago.
5
or so.
weeks?
So, now, you know
Tight
what?
end or tackle?
I hope he's a third baseman. Third baseman for the Astros. That'd be awesome.
Okay.
Going to the ballpark and watching him play. That'd be okay with me too.
Yeah, maybe until he grows up to that age before the Astros are no.
Oh, they're going to be good again. sometime soon.
It's been a rough year for Astros sports fans.
That's the hard part about baseball. It's hard to get quick fast or get good fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes a while. But,
Yeah. It's easy to get quick fast, though.
It took the Rangers about 40 years to get good, so.
Got to build that farm system up. It takes a while.
They were the Senators when they started building that.
Yeah, right.
All right, Cowboys going to keep it on the ground.
Woof.
And
out of bounds.
To stop the clock.
The stupidest thing you can do is run out of bounds.
Well, the Redskins don't have to waste another timeout, right?
That is just as bad a decision as you can. Wow.
You're fired.
That's just.
Choice is fired.
How'd you like to be going back to those Cowboys sidelines now?
They should move him to center and let Tony yell at him.
So that's a different game now. Okay, they get setting up for a try here. They missed this. The game's over, by the way. Just want it. They don't have any. I think they have 2 timeouts left, so they would still have to run some plays.
Oh no.
Was the ref going to play there?
All right, I didn't jinx him. Yes.
The Cowboys take the lead.
I thought you put it. I thought you jinxed them. It's a good thing you're not a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's a good thing.
What you guys don't know is my Bodog account really needs the Cowboys.
147 on the clock.
They were favorite. I don't even know.
5.5.
I don't bet them.
But
were they 5.5 favorites? Wow.
That's what I heard.
Seriously?
5.5 point favorites they were. But 147 on the clock. Plenty of time for the Redskins.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
She's like, seriously? No, gosh.
I fully expect the Redskins to
by the way,
win this game.
The field goal by Bailey ties the NFL record for most field goals by 2 teams in one game. That's 9 field goals, I want to say, combined.
So what now? The NFL record is by 2 teams?
Is 9.
Is 9.
They just matched it.
We had a field goal at least in our game. A field goal or 2 in our game. When we play, we got to be up there.
Maybe you tied. Maybe you
Barones
all
had
had
8.
to share
If
the
Barones
record.
had 8.
Between you and between the Texans and Rob Barones, y'all had 9 field goals. It's like Roger Clemens.
Like I said, what I say, that 10's got to be the record, right?
Roger Clemens used to say to Tim Redding, between you and me, I've got 6 Cy Youngs. We've got 6 Cy Youngs together.
Jeez. Good old Clemens. Well, here we go.
You
This
think
is
the
what
Skins are
Monday
going to come back,
This is what Monday night's all about, right here.
You think the Skins are going to come back?
I mean, in pure Cowboy fashion, I'm fully expecting them to lose this game.
And we have a flag on the field.
That's not what you want. Here's his chance now. This is a chance for Grossman. You got 140 left. All you got to do is you got to get a field goal. Not all you got to do, but you got to get in field goal position. Gano's got a good leg. I think Gano can probably hit one for 52. That means that they got to get to about the 35.
Look at that shirt.
I'm telling you, that's a specially tailored shirt.
Yeah, we got to test them for steroids.
Why is he wearing spandex?
No flag, so they're going to start around the 20. So they got about 50 yards they got to go here. Very doable. 2 timeouts still left.
The Redskins have the longest last names of any offensive line.
It's impressive.
Boy, this is Rex Grossman's chance right here.
Yeah, this is
the
his.
Redskins have a chance to go 3-0. Minute 40, plenty of time on the clock.
All stars.
And his line is not helping him.
That's not how you want to start it off. You don't want to be first and 15. Make sure that clock goes back. That was an actual play.
Jamal Brown, another Boomer Sooner.
They have tackles both from
Jamal
the
Brown
Sooners?
played at OU,
Yeah.
and so did Trent Williams. Phil Lodeholt at Minnesota, and John Cooper, I think, is backup center in Minnesota. All those guys are on the
They've
same
had an
line.
interesting career. It was
That was the offensive line in 2008 when they made the national championship. I mean, I could have made a bowl game behind that offensive line.
Oh,
great tackle.
big hit. Allen Ball hit.
So they're going backwards now. It's second
You
and
call
17
timeout
now.
here?
No, I'd probably just regroup and get them going. They know what they want. They probably called 2 plays.
I hope they don't milk this for a while because I left my car running.
Little screen.
Great call. Go.
Yep.
You
And
gotta
look
go.
at Hightower.
There he goes.
Did
First
you
down.
got the first down. Now you call timeout.
If you had to, I'd go up and run.
Or you spike it.
Oh yeah.
No?
Just go ahead and call play.
There's a lot of time running off
That
the
is a lot
clock
of
here.
time.
It's all right, but you got to remember, you only need a field goal.
And we haven't had any of those this game. Get out of
Now
bounds.
you get out of bounds.
That's Jabbar Gaffney.
That is.
He
Now
got
you call
tackled.
timeout. You got to
How
call
do you get
timeout here.
tackled? How do you not get out of bounds?
I think you call timeout there. Yeah, there you go. I think that is
Did you
good.
play with Jabbar Gaffney in Houston?
No, he was gone. I think he left the year kind of as I was going in. I was coming in. He was going out.
Former second-round pick of the Texans. He's had a pretty good career after he left Houston.
He has. You know, I guess he fizzled kind of in Houston. I don't remember what his
Played
career
in
was
New
like.
England for a little while, and
His kind of revamped his career. in New
Denver, I
England.
wanna say,
Yeah,
and
come
Washington.
back in Denver and
Yeah.
come back here. Well, you can look at the standings right there. Redskins win this game. They're 3-0. They already beat the Giants.
Good lead.
That's and beating Dallas at Dallas too.
Yeah.
That'd be huge. But
Absolutely.
this is a big 43 seconds. It'll be interesting to see this offensive line now. They gotta come up big. These tackles gotta come up big.
do the Cowboys keep the heat on? Looks like they are.
Yeah, that wouldn't be.
Here they come.
It's all right. First down.
Yeah.
Didn't take much time.
Yeah. You know, in those situations too, you don't mind those throws as much as you mind the 1-yard dunks and then he gets tackled in bounds. You know, those are drive killers more so than just chunking it out of bounds. That's just where I think a quarterback makes those strong decisions and you know, gets it. You know, bad play isn't throwing it out of bounds.
Crowd getting into it. It's going to be noisy. They need about 25 yards to get within range.
Sack.
Oh, fumble would be
And
nice.
there's the ball game.
Yep.
Who ran him down from behind? That wasn't DeMarcus Ware, was it?
No, DeMarcus caused it though. He spun inside, flushed him left, and then Anthony Spencer came all the way around the edge.
Wow.
Nice to see somebody else fumble besides that.
They had their chances there. They were.
And Jerry Jones knew he had it all along. That's why he keeps two kickers, right?
Yeah, we're going to win a Super Bowl this year. Yeah. It was a close one, but you know, after that first game in New York,
You know who feels the best on the field right now?
The center.
That Cowboys center. Phil
Yeah.
Costa. Like, yeah, see.
He's got to snap
Yeah,
it one more time.
You know, and if you're that right tackle, that's not a bad job. You did what you're supposed to do. You ran them all the way around. You know, you can't ask for anything else, really. You know,
Coverage sack.
It's a little bit of a coverage sack. It's a little bit of Rec kind of knowing the situation, knowing that he's got to get rid of the ball. That's tough. You know, when you have a quarterback flush like that, you want to make stuff to say. It's tough on everybody. That's just one of those plays that happen, and you got to just credit the defense more so than blame the offense.
That's going to wrap it up for this game. Hey, next week, our special guests include Rod Ryan from The Buzz, 94.5 here in Houston, CultureMap.com's editor-at-large, Shelby Hodge, and a mystery guest joining us next week at 7:30. It's going to be the Colts and the Buccaneers on Monday Night Football, and we want you to join us right here on Not Your Ordinary Sports Show. I want to say a very special thanks to the Black Matches for being a part of our show tonight. Bobby Duncan and Andy Bertelson. We had comedian Bob Smiley on with us and Plex's Danny Arnold. Guys, thanks so much for coming out and watching us for what turned out to be a pretty good game, even though for a while there it was the battle of the field goal kickers.
awesome.
Hey, as we leave tonight, let me first say thanks to our sponsors, Chicken Kitchen, the Chicken Kitchen Lounge, for feeding us and bringing Chick Norris with those beverages. I want to say thanks also to the Billiard Factory, billiardfactory.com. You can build your own man cave like we have right here. And special thanks to Verizon for helping us out on the Twitter feed. I want to say as we go out tonight, we're going to leave you a little more music from the Black Matches. Join us next Monday, 7:30, Not Your Ordinary Sports Show.
Well, I've been broken by this day. The thought of losing everything we could have saved. Even though we had our chances to change, and we got lost trying to place the blame. But now I know I'm better than all the times I fought to hold it together. So from now on, I'm gonna give myself a chance and not let go of dreams without a second glance. 'Cause I know now it's never too late, because life just can't explain fate. I'm past the days of trying to run. Well, I guess finding your way takes losing someone. And all the people on the street,
in defining the true entrepreneur, which is something that I'm learning as I go, and I'm sure I got tons and tons more room to grow, is guts. You got to have some guts. Danny Arnold, and started this company 14 years ago. PLEX is sports medicine and sports performance, and we work with all individuals of all ages, of skill levels and experiences. We work with people that are trying to lose 100 pounds, people are just trying to get ready for the Olympics, or try to win a world championship. I was mainly raised in Central America. I'm Nicaraguan. My dad is American, my mom's Nicaraguan. We lived in Nicaragua and El Salvador, and then when things got really, really bad, we moved to Miami. And when we were in Miami, what I consider a very aggressive city, in the sense that, you know, everybody worked at a young age. I come from a background, my parents are entrepreneurs, you know, and so as young as 10 years old, I was already selling flowers, and I was, you know, washing cars left and right. And so the matter of going out there and earning your money and working hard, that was nothing to me. My dad's always instilled that in us. I played collegiate sports. I went to Texas Southern University, and I played football, and then I also ran track in college. Then after my college career, I coached for a couple of years at the university level, and although totally different, sports medicine and coaching in football, I realized that you're still in the control. Until somebody else succeeds, you won't be able to grow, and I didn't like that. Because of that, I was like, you know, I can start a company. And I literally started with $250. I remember that number in particular because I had 5 $50 bills. I was able to convince someone to let me use their facility, you know, every other day for about 2 or 3 hours where I can clean the shop. And he let me do that. And then within a month, he actually was excited because he couldn't believe that I was bringing pro players to his facility. He liked it. Within 6 months, I was able to get enough money to sign up a lease. Word travels fast. You know, it's kind of like a big high school. I mean, in the NFL, there's 1,700 employees. If you go to a big high school, you know, there's 1,700 students. And so in the industry of the football, they kind of know who's the one that develops athletes, who's not. And that's why, at the same time, you better be good at what you're doing, and you better not mess up, because as quickly as you go up, you know, you can crash even faster than that. Then the bigger names find out about you, and I was able to get some good ones from the get-go. Orlando Pace, Charles Woodsons, and the Casey Hamptons. And so real quickly, you know, it grew fast. And then now the problem has been to tell people locally that we're open to the general public, that we're not just open to the pro athlete only. There is one major common trait amongst people here, and it's not their sport, it's not their backgrounds, it's definitely not their race or color, it's not even their skill setting, but what it is their effort. Pro players respect anybody that gives 100%. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last one, you get rest. Although things might look a little bit more calmer and relaxed, unfortunately, and maybe that's what keeps me going. I feel almost as stressed today as I did 14 years ago when I started this business. The fortunate or unfortunate part, I used to stress out about $200 Now I got to stress out about making, rent in 3 facilities. There's 27, soon to be 29 people that are counting on me putting food on their table. And so it takes a lot of guts, but at the same time is that you just got to put in the hours and you got to, follow your dream and not give up on it. The only disadvantage is that you're always wanting more. And so sometimes you don't get to enjoy it, but I'm taking care of my family, and that's the most important. I'm doing what I love, even though it's a lot of hard work, easily 80 hours a week. I'm following and I'm leading, I believe, a charge to an industry that has yet to be untapped, so I think it's great.
There's a ghost in you, a ghost in me. We go bump in the night despite all my dreams. She's tall and white, tan and free, decorated in grace, the things I need, so perfect. I'm free. I'm gonna wake up alone, this bed I made. Love's addiction, the same cliche. Empty pockets and a price to pay, so perfect. She always gets her way. I must have been crazy, just like you, falling in love with the things you do. Well, out of my mind to be so blind when this city was all I knew. I must have been crazy when I wanted you. My lady in waiting, the backdoor friend, vein in name and carbon copy thin, drunk on grapes, oxygen. She sways her hips to the violin, so perfect. I'm free, but I wake up alone.